have to be good at the thing that you profess that you are good at, you know? And auto hotkey scripts will not carry you through a Fortnite tournament. They will not do that. So, you know, my suggestion is and on top of it, once you understand that everybody in the known world is scripting except you, and you're actually bad, and you change your ways, then you need to understand that as soon as you become reliant on the scripting, you're going to have to understand that you can't be reliant on the scripting. You're going to have your own talent. You're gonna have to actually be good at the games, you know, and that's the problem. That, you know, there's the core problem. The minute that they realize the scripting exists, they just immediately start riding on it for the rest of their careers. And this is how Ninja still beats 20-year-olds. You know, this is how Ninja still beats 20-year-olds. It actually is. Like, you know, and especially when he's at home, he's got the scripting too, you know. But it's harder for him when he's at a tourney. But I mean, when he's at home, he's got the scripting just like they do. So, like, on top of it, he's not going to lose to these kids half his age. They all wonder, how is Ninja still killing me, right? It's because he's got the scripts like you, but he didn't assume that the scripts were going to carry him, right? Best of Ninja. I love this video. This shit blows my mind every single time. This video is so good. Yep. He's jumping all the time, and a bad will be like, why are they jumping all the time? They're always jumping. Well, there's two reasons for that. A good player can tell you why. The first one is if you're jumping and they fire a headshot, they're going to hit the lowest damage part of your body, your lower legs and feet, because you're jumping, right? So if they're firing like a chest or a headshot at you and you're jumping, those shots are going to hit your shins and your feet, right? Which does no damage. It's like 20 damage. You know, they're going to live. They're going to live through the jump, right? And this is why they jump all the time. The other reason is jumps are a good way, and this is true of World of Warcraft mainly, but it's true of all the games. Jumps are an incredibly good, fast way to translate to your brain whether or not you have been status affected or not. Are you stunned? Are you being shot? Are you not able to jump because you are currently being sprayed by an automatic weapon and are being sort of stuttered, you know, and you can't jump or move because you're actually receiving fire right now? And jumping is an extremely good way to gauge whether or not you are stunned, whether or not you are being fired on, whether or not you are slowed down or poisoned. Maybe you're out of stam and the jump tells you that you can't jump anymore because you know. And so this is why you constantly see people like him jumping around like little crack squirrels all the time. Now, a bad player who thinks scripting is bad is going to be like, why do they jump all the time, and just dream for 25 years in their head about why they're jumping all the time. Or you can just actually go Google it and find out, but I mean, you know, but that's why. Also, backpedaling is incredibly fucking bad. Do you know why backpedaling is incredibly fucking bad? It's because it's at half speed of running forward, right? So it's much better to turn right and run forward. And this is true of real life too. It is much better to turn and pivot and run forward in the direction you are going than it is to try and sidestep. Because sidestepping, you have to put right in front of left, right in front of left, right in front of left. It's like stutter stepping. It totally breaks your vibe. You have to think about it. You have to think about your feet and how they're moving and all this stuff. And video games are no different. So you also wonder why they never ever sidestep, right? They always just turn and run forward. It's because it's at double the speed that they normally would be at backpedal, right? And so I can tell a bad WoW player immediately if they're backpedaling even once. Like, for instance, I unbound my backpedal key. You know, for 10 years, I unbound my backpedal key, which is the S key, right? I unbound it to Shift S, right? And when I pressed the S key, nothing happened. And this was really hard to do for a year, because I was like, oh my god, I can't back up. I've got to turn around and run at the direction that's behind me. But this will make you a good player, and also in real life too, because if you're thinking that you're going to sidestep bullets, no, you're just going to get hit by the bullets. They're faster than you. Sidestepping is not really too good of a fucking plan. You actually need to turn, pivot, and run out of the fucking field of fire as it's coming in. You cannot sidestep bullets. You're not Neo. And so look at him jump, 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 jump. And the reason that he's jumping all the time, and you know, I used to do like ninja breakdowns on my channel in my first year because I can see the ethos of a player that understands all of the rules of the game that he's playing. Every last one of them, where the pixels need to be, how to move, when to jump, why you're jumping, why you're aiming and where they're gonna be as opposed to where they are right now, how to fire into the air and still hit them in the head because they're gonna jump their head right into where your shot's going to be. Like when somebody's running across the horizon right here and you know they're going to be right here in about a second, you don't have to try and spray them as they're tracking down this direction. Tracking left and right is really hard. You just aim here, wait a millisecond or two, and fire and hope that they run their body right into your bullets. Watch him do it live and in real time. See it? Did you see it? He did not aim at the guy. He aimed where he was going to be. Now, this guy choked and had to pull back immediately and backpedaled. And backpedal is good for that. It's good to stop on a dime, but that's it. The only good thing backpedal is good for is to stop moving forward. That's it. Oh, but he knew that because the guy backpedaled, to gain any momentum, he's going to have to run forward again, right? Because backpedal is half speed. If he backpedals half speed, he's going to take the obvious shotgun kill right here. So Ninja knew he was immediately going to run forward because it's the only way that he was going to be able to continue momentum, you know? And so he just pegs the shotgun blast easy. And when I understood that this is how you actually play video games, and it had nothing to do with aiming at a target at all. It has to do with where the pixel of the cursor is going to be when they move their body to it. It has nothing to do with, like, aiming at something. Nothing to do with it. Often you watch him, he almost never actually he keeps his cursor on his target at all times, but he's never actually aiming. He's waiting for the person to move to some pixel box that he can put bullets in. He's not going to shoot at you while you're moving. He's going to shoot where you're going to be. He knew that the loot was going to rain down. He didn't need to look up. His brain acknowledged that he had killed somebody on a slope and that the loot was going to eventually fall down like 35 seconds later. And so notice that he doesn't waste the time to look upwards and think about how the guy is dead and the loot's falling. He just looks at the loot and starts looting. And a lot of people probably break their style right there. A lot of people probably take the time to look upwards and think about how the loot might be falling down. But he knew it. He knew that the loot was going to be on the ground. He doesn't. At no point does he bring his camera up to the fucking cliff where he made the original kill. He just aims at the loot and starts looting it, you know, because he knows that loot's gonna fall down. And then that's how you become a truly good tourney player. You have to understand every single action and reaction and what's going to happen in the terms of server ticks. It has nothing to do with your right hand and your left click. It has nothing to do with that at all. It is entirely understanding the game that you're playing and all this stuff. And so I hope that I can help people be better at the games that they play through these kind of conversations, because, you know, it matters. It does matter. Like you know, and I despair when somebody tells me that my auto scripting is bad. I despair. I'm like, oh, so you've been playing badly for how long? You know, that's my response to that, is like, you've been playing badly for how long? You know, it's not, oh, I'm doing bad or I'm a bad scripter or something like that. My response to it is like, wow, you don't use every tool available to succeed? Were you bad in school? Did you not do your homework? Or, you know, it's that sort of thing. I mean, I was bad in school. I refused to do homework for 5 years, but I still graduated high school. I didn't do homework between the 8th grade and the 12th grade, but I still graduated high school because I knew that I had to tell the teachers that they had to give me a special fucking, you know, like a special order. I'm not like everybody else. I can't do your fucking busy work because it's pointless. And pointlessness gives me severe depression, you know? Makes me cry on stream, you know? So by the 8th grade, I would just tell the teacher to their face, I don't believe in busy work. Give me a test. I'll fucking ace the test. I'll prove to you that I have the knowledge. I do not believe in busy work. And their response to this is, we can't allow you to not do homework because then everyone will not do homework. Well, tough titty, I'm not doing homework, and I still graduated high school. You know, I went 5 years and I didn't do homework, not once. I did not do homework the entire 5 years. I played video games the entire 5 years, from the 8th grade to the 12th grade, and I didn't do a single homework assignment the entire way, and I still graduated from a prestigious private school. And the difference is I told them right to their fucking face, I don't believe in busy work. You're going to have to make a special fucking case for me. I don't believe in it. I'll bomb out of school first. I will not do your busy work. I am not stupid like you. I'm not stupid like these kids. I will not do your busy work. I look the teacher right in their fucking eyes, and I'll say it to them. And if they cotton to me and they like me, they'll work with me. And if they understand my story, they'll work with me. Like the girls, right? I have no game. Just some girls understand my story, you know? And I do well with women, right? Because it's, you know, because it's... Did I see something? What do I see? The Death of Field is goddamn terrible. Why would you do this to your goddamn game, you fucking idiot developers? What is that? What am I looking at here? It's a motorcycle burning and a wolf. Oh, it's a motorcycle burning. Okay. I'm like, is it a player with a red shirt? I hear a bear. Oh, the motorcycle is also like buzzing. Okay, so let's go back into the base. Let's go back into the base and drop. I want to fix that bike before it blows up. Ah, good. More meta. Oh, he sees somebody, right? And so now watch. At no point does his cursor ever go on the player. Watch. His cursor will never go... I mean, he will track the player and keep the cursor on the player and when he's going to make a shot. But beyond that... Yep. He's going to shoot where... Yep, he shoots where they're going to be. Yep.
You'll find out why maybe a third of the way through or something. I'm not sure. This is a wild story though. Well, hello everyone. It's me, Upavit.
Stop.
On the Game Rio engine, which is the Creation Engine, and Creation Engine 2 in Starfield. Fallout London's project lead is not taking the surprise drop of Fallout 4's update well. That has, for lack of a better term, screwed us over. This was about a couple of months ago, and a lot of people kind of scoffed at these remarks, but I think a lot of people don't understand the backstory about why the London team has been so upset with how Bethesda handled the next-gen update. And this is a feeling from the overall modding community. It's because Bethesda implemented a new next-gen update, had tons of new content, well, not tons, but had some new content, and they also introduced some fixes, but the problem is they also broke stuff, and these things are still broken to this day. Fallout 4 Next Gen Update breaks crucial mod, but players have found workarounds. The problem is that this is only working for some mods. There are some crucial mods. If you edit NPCs in Fallout 4 right now, you are hit with a massive stuttering problem. And I guess it gets worse if you have more and more mods downloaded.
That's the
There's
problem
evidence of this we're going to go through, and I think people need to understand the reason why you're having to downgrade to a previous edition of Fallout 4 and why it is such a hassle is because of Bethesda. It's because they didn't think any of this through. And I understand that, you know, them communicating with the London team, maybe that was a little much, but also, come on. They were hiring their own developers for their own team. They couldn't have reached out and said, hey guys, we're going to be dropping the next gen update soon, just to let you know. But yeah, I understand that some hold the position that the fact that Bethesda is letting this exist in the first place is more than enough, and I suppose. But this opinion is one that a lot of people hold. This is a viral tweet on Twitter from a prominent Fallout community member, TK's Mana, saying, I think it's kind of shitty that Bethesda hasn't acknowledged Fallout London at all. They poached a large number of their American team, released an update right when it was going to launch, And now that everyone loves it, radio silence, biggest Fallout mod of all time, by the way. And then Danny O'Dwyer, who did a documentary with Bethesda, he worked with them on that. He said, I think it's incredible that Bethesda allowed them to promote and release a project called Fallout London. I suspect the second they officially acknowledged it, 1,000 IP lawyers would be forced to descend on it. Also, are you criticizing them for hiring modders? Christ. And again, that's an opinion that Danny O'Dwyer and some do hold. And it's an argument that I do think is valid, but at the same time, I don't think that IP lawyers or everything is going to go crazy just if Bethesda put out a statement saying, look at this fantastic mod, our community's great, thank them for creating this. They could have done something like that. I don't think this would have turned into absolute chaos or madness. And this specific post on the Fallout 4 London subreddit is an example of the major issues some players have run into. There's a health bug, but there is a workaround here. There's also a damage bug if you acquire some certain items. All this stuff is currently being worked on. They're going to have fixes in the future. But yeah, there are some workarounds, fortunately, for some of these bugs. And yes, the intense difficulty you get in Fallout London, some of that is unintentional. But I do think the fixes that come are going to keep some of that there because I think they like the fact that this is harder. And a lot in the community do appreciate that. I think they wanted that from Fallout 4 in the base game.
Yep.
But again, underwhelming Fallout 4 Next Gen update finally getting fixed. This was what Bethesda said a couple of months ago, and it just never has happened. There is no fix for the major issues some players have run into, and this has led to some of the most popular Fallout 4 mods downgrading the game to skip the next gen update, which is what Fallout London has done. And the easiest way to downloading playing Fallout London is through the GOG store page. You end up having to buy the Game of the Year edition for Fallout 4, and then it's a pretty darn easy install after that. There are some other additions I mentioned earlier on, some other mods that you definitely need to have because of the technical issues. But other than that, it's simple that way. When you get to Steam, there's a lot more steps, and there's been a lot of controversy with how that setup is having to be. But again, this is because of the fact that Fallout 4 is a technical mess right now, and it is pretty much broken, and that is because of Bethesda and what they did with the next-gen update, which, say what you want, but the new content that they included, it just wasn't worth it. It didn't really seem like they put a lot of effort into it, which, again, you compare it to what this team has done here, it's kind of laughable with Bethesda supplied players. Now, a prominent Fallout YouTuber, Juicehead, perfectly outlined what exactly is happening with Fallout 4 right now, and why it has devastated the Fallout London team, and why players are being forced to downgrade.
Fallout 4 is currently broken, and actually has been broken for months
for a
now.
long
If you
time.
install a mod that edits NPCs' face gen data, your game will begin to stutter. This is a Bethesda issue. They introduced this issue with the next gen update for Fallout 4. So for Fallout London, this is an incredibly frustrating situation. They had to delay the mod because the next gen came out right around the time of the mod, but then they can't even use the next gen version, otherwise your game would just be stuttering from time to time. So instead, the first thing you have to do is downgrade Fallout 4 to install Fallout London so you could play without stutters.
And yeah, this has been going on for a while. We have various Reddit posts, Fallout mods subreddit, talking about these issues, the stuttering problem. So many people just saying, did you upgrade to the next gen update? Because this is the result. This is what you're going to run into. And then, yeah, other posts, again, mentioning all of this. The more mods you have, the bigger trouble you're going to run into. And it makes the game pretty much unmoddable right now, unless, again, of course, you downgrade. And we did see the unofficial Fallout 4 patch, which, again, Bethesda with their unofficial patches, modders have always been cleaning up these games. They've done it for years. The mod publisher confirmed the source of freeze stutter lockup in next-gen update present in the unofficial Fallout 4 patch, and any mod that edits NPCs. So this problem is going to continue on until Bethesda gets around to fixing it, and it's been months. It's been a couple months now, and nothing has happened, nothing has come of it, which is very, very unfortunate. Fallout London team released a statement just the other day. It was pretty much a massive thank you to the community, as well as saying that they are working on patches, some updates to come in the future. So definitely some of the problems we're running into, if it is bug related and such, they are on it, they're working their best. And they have talked about in the future, possible Xbox release. I don't think it's ever going to happen. The London dev did speak. They said we want to speak to a decision maker at Bethesda. Again, I just don't think that this is ever going to happen, and this is only going to be a PC release thing. There's also been some other technical things that Todd Howard and such have talked about in the past that indicate something of this massive scale probably isn't even possible on the Xbox at this point. Maybe with Starfield and some other future games that'll be possible, but Fallout 4 doesn't seem to be. It would be very, very difficult for them to make it happen. And then, yeah, there's the problem of Bethesda even acknowledging this mod project, which they haven't yet. and it remains to be seen if they ever will. Now, before I do wrap up this video, I do want to give a little bit of a highlight of one of my experiences with Fallout London, being 20 or so hours into this experience, because it's easy to list off all of the accomplishments, all of the different areas that London does a great job with, you know, enemies, weapons, armor, quests, and so on and so forth. But there was one specific quest that really stood out to me, and there's many of them, especially with side content. There's one with like German soldiers you meet on a submarine. That's really cool, but this one is a specific one from the main quest line that I thought was just a great example of the brilliance behind London. And it's that we eventually are told that we need an endorsement from a man named John Strutter. He's a ghoul with a standing in the area of Camden. So we go to Camden's catacombs and find him in a pile of boxes and paperwork. He's trying to prove his innocence after a corrupt, hated politician ruined him. He needs evidence or a statement proving that he was done wrong. So we travel to Westminster to assist Strutter in his mission. Who is skeptical will have success. We have a few different ways to proceed forward with this. We can speak directly to the politician and ask him to do the right thing, in which
that was such a good shot.
Face, and the mission has failed. And we have to figure out how to get this endorsement a different way from the leader of the group that John Strutter belongs to. We can also use a charisma skill check to lie to him. This then opens up more dialogue, which requires higher charisma or other skills to properly convince him to sign the statement without really looking into it. Then we also could just strong arm him into signing it. We also could avoid any conversation with him, go straight to his room, lockpick his door and then his master's safe to discover incriminating evidence that we can hand to Strutter. Multiple ways to proceed forward or to fail, because if we get the statement signed by strong-arming the politician and we tell Strutter about it, the mission has failed, as he knows it's pretty much a useless document now. This is some of the brilliance behind Fallout London, and this is coming from a modding team. We don't see a lot of these skill checks, the use of our build in Fallout 4 or even Fallout 76 to this extent, and that's why I definitely appreciate what the modding team has created here. And again, this is just one quest, this is one example of it. There's all kinds of cool things, cool ideas throughout the experience that I truly applaud that this even exists right now. And it's the reason why I think Fallout London is an absolute must for everybody to check out, especially those who are eagerly awaiting some new Fallout. You know, many of us have been waiting for Fallout New Vegas 2 for years. Doesn't appear that that's going to be at all happening anytime soon. So for the time being, we have Fallout London and hopefully some other mod projects on the way. But anyway, have you been playing Fallout London? Do you plan to? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this video or if you found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this.
Killer HD.
I'll see you later.
Love London.
You know something real scary? Story about this fella named Indrid Cold. Little guy.
During the 1960s in West Virginia, at the same time period of the Mothman sightings, a man encountered a strange humanoid being with a disturbing grin that shook him to his core.
Something that has always piqued my interest, even as a child, has been the idea of potentially being visited by an extraterrestrial being. It all started with me watching the movie Signs. Ever seen it? I watched that movie, and I don't think I slept for 2 years after it. I don't really remember exactly what happened. It wasn't because of like anxiety or anything, but I was afraid of aliens. And now to this day, I still have dreams about getting probed hard all night.
I wanna dance all night.
And that's what spurred the creation of this video.
The man in the car makes note of one particularly weird aspect of the creature's appearance. That of his ever-present, never-changing smile. The creature calls himself Indrid Cold.
The following video you're about to watch is about Indrid Cold, aka the Grinning Man, potentially, in my opinion at least, some of the most interesting UFO alien stories that exist. So strap in, my friends. If you want to see more content like this, press the like button down below, go to gump.club, join the Gump Club,
40%.
watch uncensored videos, and get discounts on Sour Boys. Go to sour.gg, buy some candy. Every single bag helps so much, because these videos are getting really long and hard to make, and I don't like it anymore. I need more money! For real though, we release a new flavor of Sour Boys every week, or we try our best. We have like 40 employees now across the board. It's incredible. There's nothing like it on YouTube. It's a great product. Please If you guys like candy, go support it. It's just candy. There's nothing special about it other than it being made by us, and it's like unique, cool flavors. Anyways, guys, enjoy YouTube in moderation as well as anything else. The story today begins in Marietta, Ohio, a small town at the confluence of the Ohio and Muskingum rivers. In the 1960s, Marietta had just under 17,000 residents, while Mineral Wells, Woody's home, has a mere 2,000 as of 2010. So, small city, medium-sized, kind of big city, almost. In some ways, still quite rural though, important to remember. These two towns are connected by forested roads that wind past the outskirts of Parkersburg, a city nearing 30,000 residents today. As Mr. Darren Berger passed Parkersburg, West Virginia Berger in early November 1966 while driving on the quiet Interstate 77. Once again, it was very quiet. It was a quiet night on that night in early November 1966.
10 people died in the Bronx last night due to a fire that killed 10 people in the Bronx last night during a fire.
The road was empty and there were no motorists when suddenly he noticed a set of headlights speeding at him in the rearview mirror.
Hear that
speeding
again.
at an unreasonable
Night during a fire. Died in the Bronx.
Quiet. It was a quiet night on that night in early November 1966.
10 people died in the Bronx last night due to a fire that killed 10 people in the Bronx last night during a fire.
The road was empty.
Last night during a fire.
And there were no motorists when suddenly he noticed a set of headlights speeding at him in the rearview mirror, speeding at an unreasonable speed, a disturbing speed. His heart raced as he kept an eye on the strange vehicle gaining on him. A vehicle that at first he believed to be a speeding car, as anyone would. But then, as Woody checked his mirrors, the vehicle would vanish without a trace, leaving an unsettling silence. Then, a loud humming sound filled the air, a deep it vibrated his entire truck. The lights had disappeared, and I'm sure Woody's mind was racing with questions, guys. Was his mind playing tricks on him? What the happened? Before he could comprehend, the vehicle reappeared, this time directly in front of his car.
And just before I came to the intersection of Route 47, there was a car past me, overtaking me from behind. And following closely behind this car was this unidentified flying object. And as the car ahead, or the car behind passed me, this object was following close behind it, and it swerved directly in front of my truck, turning crosswise.
The vehicle was close, but not close enough that he needed to slam on the brakes. Instead, he was able to come to a controlled stop, ABS stop. The mysterious vehicle hovered above the road, casting an otherworldly glow. Hey guys, it's starting to sound like a alien! Sorry guys. Sometimes I have outbursts whenever I get excited about things. Woody described this craft, aka vehicle, later as looking like an old-fashioned kerosene lamp chimney, flaring at both ends, narrowing down to a small neck, and then enlarging in a great bulge in the center. Like a, you know, like one of these things. I mean, it's kind of weird looking. It's kind of bizarre. I wouldn't have a car that looked like that. It was unlike anything old Woodrow had ever seen. As Woody sat there on the floor, a door on the side of the vessel slowly opened, and out stepped a man appearing to be in his mid to late 40s, dressed in dark-colored clothing. Woody remembers that the man's presence was unnerving, and there was something profoundly off about him. Though exactly what was causing the stirring feeling of discomfort wouldn't become clear until the figure approached Mr. Woody. Sorry, Mr. Beringer.
It's radiation. What they're not talking about is the men are my theory is that the Men in Black, their jacket, it's an insulated liner, and the black jacket actually is radiated. And one of the reasons that you feel so fucking bad when a Men in Black comes around is because they are radiating you, and they probably don't stay there very long. They're probably only there for like 45 seconds, so you probably don't get very sick, right? But you feel sick when they're standing in front of you because they are radiating you, probably radiating you with a radiated jacket. That is tech that we've been able to reach since 1931 or something like that. That is very, very viable, and that's what my theory is. I believe it's a G-Man with a radiation jacket. That's my theory.
Heimer Burger, or whatever the... As this man began to walk...
Because when they talk about Men in Black, they always talk about this weird discomfiture and sick feeling. You get like kind of sick to your stomach, and you feel like a sense of fear. and you don't know what's wrong, and the hairs on your neck stand up, and it feels like that the man in black has a otherworldly presence, like it's like, you know, kind of, and there's other weird like race memories like this too. But what that really is, in my guess, if I had to guess what it is, I would guess that they have like a two-sided radiated jacket, which is why they always wear a black jacket, right? They wear like a Men in Black thing. They always have a black jacket. My theory is that it's just a lead-lined jacket with a irradiated, irradiated skin that essentially like sickens everything around you. If you stand around somebody with a lot of radiation, they will begin to get sick right in front of you. And I've always thought that radiation would actually cause the kind of discomfiture that fits the race memories of Men in Black. I've always thought irradiated jacket.
Towards Woody's truck, the door of the craft closed, and it began to float
because it fits the whole thing. That tech's been around since 1930. They always have a black jacket. That's the one thing that universally is agreed upon. When the feds show up after some kind of alien, Area 52 or alien suspicion thing, they show up, and they've even been on camera. We've seen feds that dress in all black and stuff like that. Feds dress in all black sometimes. My theory is that Men in Black do it because they have a one-sided irradiated jacket that withers everything around them to discourage people from even approaching the Man in Black, right? And that's tech we've had for 100 years. No problem. You could lead side. Not lead. You'd have to probably platinum side the jacket. But you could easily disguise it very well, and you can run like platinum on one side of the jacket and radiation on the other, and if it's black, they probably can't see that there's inside there's like irradiated pieces of iridium or whatever, right? And it's a jacket lined in iridium, but it doesn't actually irradiate you. Or they've mastered the tech of curing radiation and they never told us, that kind of thing. So, and then that's my suspicion with this. I suspect that weird feeling that everybody gets when a Men in Black is around, a sense of abandonment and loss and like fear and hopelessness, right, is what people always say. I think that is exactly how you feel when you are being irradiated really quickly. And I look for a science reason to explain the fear that Men in Black engender in people who have experiences with them. Because there's something with Men in Black that they always say, ever since the Jose Chung's From Outer Space episode, I've been of X-Files. I've been obsessed with Men in Black, not because of the movies, but because of the X-Files. And it turns out that many eyewitness accounts have been given to media and stuff like that about people who saw Men in Black show up after weird occurrences and stuff like that. And my theory is, well, if you're the government and you want to discourage people from being there, you could subtly irradiate them and convince them to leave. And if you suddenly get this feeling like you're sick and that something's wrong and that you need to move on, and then you see a man dressed in all black that's got sinister glasses and a crazy grin on his face, the guy is probably grinning because he's irradiating you. And which won't kill you if it ends in like 45 seconds, It won't kill you. It'll just give you a really sick feeling, and it'll probably take you a couple of weeks to feel better again. But I mean, you can be irradiated for like 60 seconds and still live, It's when you hang around it for a day. That's when it kills you. Like, you can't stay around radiation for longer than like a couple of seconds, But I mean, yeah, but I could see the government fucking around with radiation, trying to elicit a certain response in onlookers to force them to leave. And I think that's what we're actually seeing with Men in Black. And I think we got some Hollywood movies out of this and all of that stuff. But my theory about Men in Black has always been that they show up and they irradiate onlookers so that they leave, right? They get this terrible, sick, foreboding feeling, and it feels otherworldly because it basically is. It's radiation. It's this thing that you don't encounter in the natural world, But I've always thought that the Men in Black mythos was actually radiation.
Disappearing into the night sky, leaving behind the man. All right, guys, what the? That's probably one of them Yukons, them Chevy Yukons. Them things been known to do that. That's no otherworldly craft. That's just a 1999 Chevy Yukon, available at your local auto bargain store for $941, not including tax and tags. As the man reached Woody's door, he noticed that he had an extremely wide smile with all of his teeth prominently showing, and this is where you guys are going to start to find some level of familiarity with this story. This is Indrid Cold, aka the Smiling Man, one of the most disturbing unknown creatures, people, mysteries that...
Yeah, I watched a whole bunch of documentaries and stuff about this because I had an experience with the Black Hat Man. They call it the Black Hat Man. He looks like this. When I was a kid, I had a weird experience with a Black Hat Man in my closet. And this turns out that the Hat Man... No. It's just the Hat Man. The Hat Man is this image that people have like there's been tens of thousands of a reoccurring fucking like story that humans tell that cross referencers eventually ran across. There's the Hat Man is this weird urban legend that there's this weird like demon figure that can freely walk through walls and stuff like that always shows up to infants and women and sometimes men, but usually it's infants and women. And the Black Hat Man shows up in your closet and he terrifies the shit out of you. And the other one reoccurring thing, the unifying factor is that you experience paralysis. You can't move while the Hat Man is in your room or in your closet or something like this, right? And I had an experience like this when I was a child. I had a Black Hat Man show up in my fucking, or no, I'm sorry, it wasn't my closet. It was outside when I was running down my front hallway, because we had a hallway that had all these crazy windows. And I saw a man in a black fedora pop up in front of our fucking windows. And I thought that he had a chain gun. And the reason, and I know why I thought he had a chain gun, because when I saw him, it was night. It was like 7:30 at night in Jersey, in a rural area, in a farm area, in a big old mansion. And in front of he showed up in front of the fucking windows. He came out of the ground and he sprouted out of the ground like Aku. It was fucking insane. And I'm not kidding. This happened to me. It's not some lie. I'm just telling you what happened. You don't have to believe me. It did. And it terrified the living shit out of me. And I thought he had a chain gun. Now I know why, and I know why I thought that is because during that time, I think even that day, I think we saw Dick Tracy. Which was, Ned Beatty in 1990 with a really all-star cast and stuff, and I really love this movie, Dick Tracy. This was such a really fucking good movie. Madonna was in this movie as the love interest. Fucking Madonna, This was such a fucking amazing movie, and Al Pacino was in it, and Dustin Hoffman, and Warren Beatty, and Madonna, and all this. Like, it was all of Hollywood was there, and all the Dick Van Dyke was there, and Kathy Bates and shit. This was such a fucking good movie, right? But I was terrified of Flat Top, right? Flat Top was this guy in Dick Tracy comics that always carried around a chopper. That's him right there. You see him? He's the Black Hat Man. See him? There in the back when I was a kid, they used the Black Hat Man thing for the Dick Tracy movie, and they made Flat Top look like this really scary, daunting. I mean, all of the villains in this movie were actually kind of scary. There was like Babyface guy that had this crazy deformed face, and there was Flat Top. He had a flat head. It was like a completely flat head. If he takes the hat off, he has a flat head up there. It's a completely flat, and it creeps me out. It was so weird. Flat-headed people are fucking weird. And Flat Top had a chain gun, right? And so my 7-year-old mind conflated Flat Top from Dick Tracy with the actual Black Hat Man that I saw. That could have been a human being. I don't know. I saw somebody, and I'm guessing it was probably a human being in a fedora, who was in our front yard. I imagine is what I saw. I probably just saw a dude in a fedora who was trespassing in our yard because we had an open mansion with not open mansion, but an open yard with no wall or fence. And we had a mansion. So I think some thief was just on our yard who had a fedora, right? But when I was 7, I'll never forget this. I was running like down the hallway, and I stop for some reason, and I look right, like pretty much mid-run. I stop.
You've been examined.
I pause and I look right, and out of the ground comes the Black Hat Man. He comes zoop like this, and he's looking at me, and his glasses are white, and I see something in his hands.
Incoming emote.
But I don't know what that was. Oh, what's this? Hello. Oh, butter shoes. Oh, hello. Hello. I'm going to... Oh, no, I'm going to the goldsmith. So yeah, and so the Black Hat Man comes out of the ground, and the lights of the windows. I'm looking. Sorry, it was dark in the hallway, but it was not dark in the house, and it was dark outside. And the kitchen was lit, and the television room was lit, but the hallway between them was dark. And as I was running between them to the kitchen, I stopped and I turned right, and there's this Black Hat Man materializes up out of the fucking ground. He's got white glasses and a fedora, and I freeze solid mid stride. I just freeze solid, and I experience paralysis, and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me, and I can't move for like 30 seconds or something. I'm just like, I can't move. And then when I finally shook out of it and got free, I was fighting it. I was like, I can't move. I would normally be running and telling my mom and dad, and I had this panic attack, and I screamed for my parents and shit. I was like, there's somebody in the yard! 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 And they were like, what? And they came running, and there was no one there. And they were like, nope, you're a kid, you imagined it. And I was like, there was someone in the yard. There was someone in the yard. There definitely was someone in the yard. And they were like, okay, we believe you, but there's no one now, okay? And I slept it off, and the next day I was fine. And I remember this. I've remembered it all of my life. And so when I was like 37 or something, I went on the internet and I looked up the Black Hat Man when I had like a weird like waking dream about it. I was like, man, the Black Hat Man is something that really stood out, and it really stood in my memory for some reason. So comes to find out that there's been many, many documentaries and many, many books written about the Hat Man. Do you see it? Turns out that this is actually a reoccurring race memory theme that many, many hundreds of thousands of people have had. Usually they're like in bed, and the Black Hat Man shows up in the closet, and you experience either straight up sleep paralysis and or full-blown paralysis. You're terrified and you want to scream for 911 and your family, but you can't, because the Black Hat Man, the one unifying theme is the fedora. Well, there's 3. There's the fedora, the fact that he's black. There's 4. There's the fedora, the fact that he's black, the paralysis that he causes for about 30 seconds, and then the disappearing. And then there's one more thing. He can show up in really crazy tight spaces, in the top of closets and in the back of rooms and in between boxes and stuff like that. And they can slide out. And I've seen other versions of the Hat Man. Like one time I saw something slide out from behind a light pole on a video on YouTube. And some kids were playing soccer in Mexico. And this fucking alien or Black Hat Man or something like that stepped out from behind a light pole that was only maybe 4 inches thick. There's no way a human could have hid behind the light pole. Maybe I can still dig this video, but I've searched for this video before and I can't find it anymore. Alien steps out from behind the light pole, and I didn't like this one. No, see, this video doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, and I've seen it a bunch of times. My friends have seen it, and when they saw it, they were like, that is something that is something that is real, that is not human. All of my friends were like that. They were like, this is not an Adobe Photoshop. Something stepped out from a different dimension from behind a light pole. It was like an overhead light in a Mexican ghetto. And these kids are playing soccer for about 13 seconds or something, and then this fucking alien steps out from behind a light pole, and I think that's what inspired Slender Man, if I recall. And then that video, you can't find it anymore. And that video has bothered me all of my goddamn life. It's the only... Well, there's another video, too, of a whole bunch of alien ships fighting each other in an intergalactic war. That's a video that I've seen, but it's in black and white because it's from the Hubble telescope or something like that, right? But alien ships fighting, right? There's like colossally appear in the not in the ocean, but there's this old black and white alien footage of footage, ships fighting. It was like near the moon or something like that. And let's see if we can pull the video or the image, but I don't think so. I'll know the image when I see it. It looks like a bunch of dots, but this made me believe because whatever we were watching was in space, and it wasn't Photoshop. It was like a bunch of crazy alien life forms that weren't ships. They were like weird spinning circles, and they were having some kind of intergalactic battle near the moon. And I've not seen that footage ever again either. You'll see this stuff. Like, I always see this one. All of these I've seen many, many times before. But the two that I believed, I never, ever, ever saw again. You know? Which is weird. Maybe they were debunked, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, and I don't believe in aliens, but I do believe in energy and magic and spiritual energy and like the four elements creating things that we can't explain and stuff like that. I'm not an alien believer, but I do think that there is other life forms out there.
Exists, in my opinion.
And I've seen some evidence that made me really believe that there's something. I just don't know what it is.
There's nothing scarier than someone happy, someone.
Yeah, I'm truly happy. I think it scares people. Like, honestly, like I knew why I was incompatible with my trio, because those people were unhappy. Both Zelly and fucking Steph, they were unhappy people. You could see it. It was deep down inside of them. And I knew why we weren't really getting along. And it was because I was deep down happy. Because I got out of the hell that they're facing. It's depression and poverty and life on the streets and maybe drug abuse or death of family, that kind of thing. They both were really unhappy people for some reason. And I knew that deep down inside, I had graduated past all that, and I was just kind of like doing closure stuff and primal screaming about the system and the man who tried to kill me and scared the love of my life away.
You've been examined.
And now what's this now? Okay. Forsetus examines you. Sorry, that goddamn it, the AI always blows my mind. It's so annoying. Go back in. I hate how you log me all the time. It's so annoying.
Oh yes. Specifically in this story we're talking about today, the smile was unnatural. It was too wide.
And also the black hat man that showed up in my front lawn, he was smiling, and I've seen other images of the black hat man. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Quentin Tarantino in Sin City. Quentin Tarantino. Quentin Tarantino in Sin City images, right? And you'll see it. Quentin Tarantino was in Sin City, and he was the evil guy at the farm. The child molester guy at the farm that was super agile, could jump around and slice throats and stuff like that. And poor Marv has to fucking handcuff himself to Quentin Tarantino to get him to stop from jumping around long enough to beat him to death before he dies of stab wounds, you know? And that's a wonderful scene, but that the Black Hat Man thing is used extremely strongly in Sin City. And that image that they used with Quentin Tarantino with the white glasses, I've also seen it in other places too, like Neon Genesis had it. It's like the Neon Genesis. It's Shinji's father. Ikagi or whatever. Yeah, him, right? So there's these images of Shinji's father. There it is. See it? There it is. This image is the Black Hat Man image, except it's missing the fedora. And I believe that for some reason, for hundreds of thousands of years, there's been hundreds of thousands of race memories and urban legends and books written about this. For hundreds of thousands of years, mankind has been seeing the Black Fedora Hat Man. I think since before fedoras existed, and I'm not kidding about this. There's been many books written. I mean, you can see it all. You can see them all here, listed here. There's one. There's the Hat Man, the true story of evil encounters and stuff. Or Hat Man. I watched this one. This is a documentary on IMDb that's really bad, but it was entertaining and stuff. And I don't believe in all this shit, but I did see the Hat Man, and I thought I was the only one in existence that had ever seen the Hat Man. But no, when you go and look, the Hat Man, there is billions of images of the Hat Man. There's billions of it. People have been looking at the fedora Hat Man since the dawn of time. See it? The artists have been drawing it since the dawn of time. It is a race memory that occurs to a lot of people. It is maybe a Satan or something. I don't know what it is, but it's like a dude in a black hat, sometimes with white glasses, sometimes with a gun or a cross, right? But it's usually that ethos, and it's really crazy. And I had a Black Hat Man experience when I was 7 that I've been unable to explain my entire fucking life. What it probably was some creeper on my fucking lawn, but it could have been the Black Hat Man. I don't know. And so when I saw the Black Hat Man, my mind saw what I feared most in my whole life, which was a really fucked up, demented, degenerate flathead dude with a chopper that was totally corrupt, who had no values, right? And so when I saw the Black Hat Man, my mind saw Flat Top from Dick Tracy mixed with like this image, right? I closed it, I think, but yeah, the image of the Black Hat Man. Right? My mind saw exactly a mixture of this image of Flat Top here. Yeah, like I'm going to pull the picture like and make it bigger, right? I saw this mixed with, like, I guess the best one here is like that one. Yeah, it was like this mixed with, let's pull them together, right? It was like this mixed with, like, god damn it, can't you just open the image, you fucking incompetent pieces of fucking shit? Open the fucking image. How do you make any money doing this? How do you sleep at night? Open the fucking image. You're so bad at what you do. Anyways, so there you go. Yeah, so fucking Google. What happened to Google? Anyways, so yeah, this mixed with, and I saw glasses, and I saw white frames that looks like this image. Now, where did Shinji's go? God damn it, where does Shinji's father go? Shinji's father, Kagi, or whatever his name was, right? Gendo Ikari. Yeah, Gendo Ikari. So I saw a mixture of this, and this I saw, and he had white eyes. He had white eyes, and it really stood out because he had white eyes, right? Like that, and they were glasses, and it was probably the light of the, I think it was the light of the coming out of the kitchen windows were reflecting in the glasses of the intruder on our lawn. But then any I don't know what the word for this is. I believe it is like it's either materialize or he evaporates or whatever. He like vaporizes out of the ground. He stares at me for 30 seconds while I'm mid-stride frozen staring at him, and I'm stuck in paralysis for 30 seconds. And then he melts into the ground, and I scream and cry, and I'm like, "There's somebody in the front lawn! There's somebody in the front lawn!" And they're like, "No, you're a 7-year-old, and it's like 9:30 at night, and you've had sugar all day, and you're just imagining." And that's what my parents told me. I remember, and I was like, "Let's fucking pray that you're right. Let's pray." Let's pray that you're right. What probably happened is we just had an intruder, but I mean, I don't know. And so, like, later on, like 30 years later, I go looking for the Black Hat Man thing, and I find out that no, I'm not alone. Everybody sees the Black Hat Man at least once in their life, apparently. It's this reoccurring race memory that occurs over and over again. People have been seeing the Black Hat Man since the 1400s too, or something like that, like the 700s or something. Probably ever since the dawn of man. The Black Hat Man thing has been around forever. And I didn't know. It's like this old fucking urban legend thing, and I don't know why. It's just interesting to me because it like, you know, it
You've
just,
been examined.
you know, like that's what this reminds me of.
Fixed. It was
It's like the Black Hat Man thing reminds me of sorry, they keep examining me. It's so dumb. Stop examining me. You bought my silver. No, wait, no, you didn't. How much inventory do I have? Oh, good, I have room. Buy the copper and use it. I don't have to do 7 days tonight, it appears, so that's good. I would like to take a break from 7 days. We've been playing it too much, I think. It's a fun game, but it's definitely a single-player game that is not geared towards... Well, not single-player, but it's definitely a multiplayer game, but it's not really a live service game. It's definitely more of a single-player game, kind of.
like someone had been told how to smile, how to form a smile, but they didn't know what a smile should look like.
Yeah, like that. Like, and he was smiling at me with his glasses were reflecting the light from the kitchen, and it terrified the living shit out of me. And I fundamentally remember that he had a chopper like dangling down out of his jacket with his right arm, and he was standing. He materialized out of the ground, and he had a chopper in his hands. And so, and on top of it, right when I finally got out of the paralysis, it was like 35 or 45 seconds or something like that. I went diving to the fucking floor, and as I recall, I kind of hurt myself, and they were like, what the hell? You're like, you dived to the floor and you made all this laughter, and you're not laughter, but you made all this screaming, and you're like yelling and freaking out. And I was like, yeah, I thought he was gonna shoot me through the window. And they're like, nobody is going to shoot you with a chain gun through the front window of our house. My mom was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, I think there was a man with a machine gun in our front lawn. And she was like, you are insane. You have stayed up too late, or you're sleep deprived, or you've had too much sugar today or something. She was like, there was no one in the lawn. Our dogs would have barked, you know? And she was like, no one's in the lawn. And my father was too. He was like, you are insane. There was nobody on the lawn. And I was like, okay. And I never did see anything like that again. I never saw anything like a ghost. I never saw anything like that again. That one stood out. I am not one to... I am a reality guy. There was a guy in our yard that day. I know there was. I'm just going to assume it was an intruder, you know? Because what I saw was the Black Hat Man. When I went to look at the Black Hat Man, I began to understand that for about 2,000 years, people have been seeing the Black Hat Man in their front yard and in their closet and outside the front door and, you know, and underneath the bed and shit like that. It's like the veritable boogeyman, pretty much. But I saw that dude. He terrified me more than anything's ever scared me in my whole life. I saw that dude, and I was like, this dude will kill me. And when the paralysis wore off, I dived for cover. And I'm not making that up. I dived for cover because I thought he was going to lift the chain gun and shoot me through the fucking window, you know? And I started screaming for my parents the second I hit the ground. I was like, there's someone in the front yard. There's someone in the front yard. And they were like, no, there is not. They were arguing with me immediately. They were like, no, there is not. There's nobody in the front yard. The dogs are not barking.
As the man approached,
and I was like, oh, thank God. I must just be a child with an overactive imagination. I was like, there must be right. But I've never forgotten this. I never forgot that. And it's not some supernatural thing either. I think we had an intruder in our yard with a chain gun that day. I fucking really believe it. I think there was an intruder in our... Otherwise, it's got to be the Black Hat Man. I think there was a dude in our yard with an automatic weapon trying to scare me when I was like 7 years old. I think there was. You know, I'm not imagining... It wasn't... I'm sure children have imagination, but I'm not one to prone to... I don't believe in aliens, even. I struggle with believing in aliens. I don't. You know, I really don't believe in aliens. I struggle with believing in magic. I struggle with believing in souls. You know, I am quite the doubting Thomas guy. I struggle with believing the idea of a Black Hat Man, but I saw something that fucking day. It was a dude with a fucking chain gun and a fucking fedora and a pair of glasses that reflected the light, grinning at me in the dark, and he like Harry Potter vaporated out of the air, and then he like sunk back into the ground instantly when I broke out of the paralysis. And I dived for the ground, and when I got up, he was gone. And I was like, and it was so weird that it stuck out for me all of my life. I'm not making this up. And I don't know. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in spiritual, you know, I don't really believe in spirituality, basically, you know. I am a doubting Thomas guy. And I don't believe in God, you know, but I know I saw a goddamn dude in a fedora with a chain gun on our front lawn when I was 7. I know I saw that guy. I'm certain of it as I live and breathe. I saw that guy and I went diving for cover. I thought he was going to light me up. I definitely did dive for cover. They were like, "Why are you on the ground in a dark room in the hallway between the kitchen and the television room, screaming that there's some dude outside? The dogs are not even barking." And I was like, "There's some dude outside. He's gonna shoot me." And they were like, "No, no, no." And so I had to, in order to even calm myself down, I had to tell myself, and I remember this, thinking about this. I was like, "It's not some dude with a chain gun. I just think I saw a chain gun because I'm terrified of Flat Top from Dick Tracy." You know, some crazy gangster thug that's been screwing children and doing drugs and, you know, and wasting 50 people as a hitman, you know, who has a chain gun and no control, basically, is like my worst nightmare, you know. And that's what I saw. I saw a figure in black with a chain gun and a fedora. And it was like a chain gun. It was not like an assault rifle. It was like a chain gun. It was a Tommy weapon. It wasn't a chain gun. It was a Tommy. It was a bigger fucking automatic weapon. It was a chopper. It was a chopper. It was not a Tommy or a chain gun. It was a chopper. It was huge. It went all the way down to, I'll never forget. I have the image in my head right now. I mean, the guy had a goddamn chopper. I thought he was there to kill my fucking parents. You know, I thought my parents were rich, and I thought he might be there to kill my parents. I was like, what the fuck? I saw that guy. I'm certain as I live and breathe. I am not prone to, you know, I mean, I'm prone to like wildness and stuff, but I'm not I'm an impulsive person, but I'm not prone to seeing magic or, you know, like ghosts or anything like that. I don't generally believe in any of it, you know. But I saw Man in Black with the chopper, though. I definitely did. I saw that guy. I couldn't move, and I was freaked out and crying. It was traumatizing to me. I think about it now and I get scared. I'm like, what the fuck? That was traumatizing to me. And now my theory is that some dude with a goddamn chopper actually was on our lawn there to rob us, and then he saw me and decided not to. You know, that's where I fall on this. I still don't believe in the Black Hat Man. That's where I fall on this. I believe that a man with a fucking chopper came to our house to rob my parents, and I fucking saw him first when I was going to get food from the kitchen, and when he saw me, he thought better of it. That's where I'm falling on this one. I mean, it really is. That's where I fall, you know. So anyways, we're done with Fallout London. I'm going to get off this. I don't really believe in this stupid shit. I hate talking about this sort of stuff, you know?
He gestured to have the window rolled down.
I really do. I fundamentally believe that there was a dude on my front lawn with a chopper when I was 7 years old. You know how crazy that is? It's not like I want to believe it, or I want to believe that I'm crazy and I just imagined it. But no. I saw a fucking dude with a fucking chopper on our front lawn. I'm not stupid. And the only part about it that I question is the chopper, because the only time I'd ever seen a chopper in my childhood was during Dick Tracy. So I told myself as a child, I was like, the chopper that I saw that scary dude with, like in the dark, you know, that we pitch black except for his glasses, you know, in the dark with a chopper dangling out of his jacket and shit with his right arm and stuff, grinning at me and then disappearing into the fucking ground. That happened. It happened. I don't know what it was. I'm going to assume that it's a human being who came there to rob my rich parents, you know? Because I really don't know what else the fuck it would have been.
Woody obviously complied. As the window,
I mean, I believe in I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe in ghosts or images or being like or like you know, third encounters or any of this. I really don't believe in any of that stuff. I really don't. But I believe I saw a dude with a chopper on our front lawn when I was 7. I saw that dude. I also had another dude pull up to me when I was playing in the field across the street who asked me to get in the car. And I was like, no, my parents told me not to get in the car. And he was like, get in the car now. And I was like, no. And he drove off. And I remember that too, you know? I remember that too.
window rolled down, Woody prepared himself.
And I ran and told my parents. I was like, there was some dude who ordered me to get into his car, and they were like, you didn't get in the car, right? And I was like, no, you told me stranger danger. Don't ever go with a stranger. Only cops, principals, or parents. That's it. And I still believe in that rule, you know. But that dude, he really wanted me to get in his car when I was like 8 years old or something like that. And I was like, no, I'm not stupid. No, I'll never see my parents again. No.
What was about to happen? Nothing.
I was not a dumb child, I would say.
Could have.
Nope.
Could have prepared.
I was a dumb child because I did stupid things, but I was not a dumb child intellectually. I knew I would never see my parents again if I did anything with that dude. I was like, no.
For him though, to be honest.
Like, I think some kids go with the guy, you know. It's unfortunate.
Honest, because the man smiled.
You know, obviously they do, or there wouldn't be the picture on the side of the milk carton, you know. I think a lot of the times the creeper just drives up and says, get in the car, and the kid is like, all right, fine, an adult is telling me to do something, so I'm going to do it. And then and that's how we get the picture on the side of the milk carton. And even as a child, I was like, no. Those are the three terrible memories as a child. Three really terrible, traumatizing ones. One was the dude who tried to get me in the car. The other one was the black hat fedora chopper guy in our front lawn. And then the other one was my father bowled me up against the side of our van when I was supposed to shovel the snow so we could go to school. I was being too slow about it, so he came and he knocked me up against the wheel well of the car, leaned into me, and screamed in my face about how slow I had been to dig the fucking, you know, the back pathway to the door, you know, because in Jersey you get like, you know, like a foot of snow on the ground in the winters if you're in the rural area, right? So he was making me shovel the walk between the back door and the van, and only made it like halfway to the van, and he was like, you have been out here 45 minutes and you've made it like 10 feet, and he screamed at me up, he like knocked me over into the wheel well and got into my face and screamed at me. And then there was another time that I had to basically physically restrain him from leaving the motel room. Those are the 4 times in my childhood that I felt fear, and I remember them very clearly. Those are the only 4 times. I don't remember fear, or even during the divorce, I just felt resignation, you know? I don't remember fear at all. There was only 4 times that I felt fear when I was a child, and I remember them very clearly. And dude with a chopper was one of them.
Smile remained as he communicated to Woody. He communicated telepathically. He said,
like, dude with a chopper stands out like with the same amount of clarity and fear as my father bowling me over against that wheel well, you know, in the snow, and screaming in my fucking face like he was gonna kill me, you know, and when I was like 7, you know. And I remember that very, very clearly. It was like the only time he actually did anything to me. He physically knocked me into the wheel well, which was fine. It wasn't like abuse, really. It was like a bump, you know? He like bumped me off my feet because I was little with his legs. And then he leaned into me and screamed at me when I was lying in the wheel well where the snow had kind of, you know, and he leaned into me. I was like trying to get, I saw him coming, so I started digging really fast because I was just enjoying the snow. I was more interested in playing in the snow than I was shoveling the snow, you know? And ever since then, and I was shoveling the snow, and I saw him coming, so I turned around and started shoveling really quick. And he came at me from behind and knocked me into the wheel well. And since then, I have not been able to turn my back on a human being my entire fucking life. If I sit in a restaurant, I take the corner in the back, and I watch people who come in the door, and I don't like it when people are behind me. I really don't. Because the worst attack I ever well, not the worst, but the most scary attack I ever received in my life came blind when I wasn't looking from behind. It was my father coming into me very quickly in a rage and knocking me off my feet with his legs, like his knees, and then kneeling into me and screaming in my face, you know? When I was like 7 and way too young to essentially be assaulted by a 6'7" man screaming at me with a red face, like furious. You know, I was too young to really take that kind of adult thing, and that stuck with me my whole life. And so did the fucking fedora hat dude with the chopper, the wheel well incident, the dude trying to get me in his car. And that's it. Those are like I remember drinking sake on New Year's Eve when I was 12, when my parents were still over, and drinking sake when I was 12 on New Year's Eve, for like 5 hours and puking and stuff, really bad, and having to clean it all up and everything. And I remember drinking sake to my parents' divorce on New Year's Eve. And I didn't have any friends because they moved me. I didn't have really family that I saw anyways beyond my closest family. And I was completely alone, and my parents were tearing each other apart, and my mother was lying in bed for 3 days and stuff like that. And I remember New Year's Eve came around, and I played Secret of Mana for 8 hours, and then I stole a bottle of sake, and I took sips of sake from a sake glass that I'd stolen, because I was obsessed with a movie called Rising Sun. And I saw them sipping sake in the sake bar and singing karaoke. And I remember thinking that I was the type of guy who was going to sing karaoke and drink sake like a real man, because I had real man problems before I was the age of 12. You know? Like, I had to fight my father when I was 12. I had to physically restrain him from leaving a motel room, you know? And I should have just been worried about Secret of Mana. And when I couldn't worry about, when I just couldn't worry about Secret of Mana, I had to deal with all the stuff going on in my real life. And the fall of my family, and the fall of our family money, and all of the, you know, the divorces and the mental breakdowns and stuff that my mother went through. It was a tough time. There was times when I stole the car and left. You know, it was a tough time when I was a young teenager dealing with divorce and all that. And I gotta say, like, drinking sake on New Year's Eve was the day that I believe I became a man, and that was when I was 12. I think I didn't become a man the day that I physically restrained my father, who was 6'7" and 200 pounds heavier than me. Like, he was like something like 1.5 feet taller and 200 pounds heavier than me. And I stood in front of the door like my mother told me to do. And I physically blocked the door so he couldn't leave from the Clarion Motel in, Clarion Beachside Motel in Huntington Beach, or it's like Rat Beach. It's like right after Torrance Beach. It's basically Torrance. Or not Torrance, but sorry, it's Huntington Beach. Sorry, and yeah, and that wasn't the day that I became a man, though. The day that I became a man was when I was 12 on New Year's. I drank a fucking I drank a decanter of sake and mourned the death of my parents' marriage. You know, and that was when I was 12. I was sipping sake and watching Rising Sun at the age of 12 on New Year's Eve, mourning the loss of my parents' fucking marriage, you know? And my life's always been like that. Always been like that. You know? I don't know. It's not, you know, it's not really comfortable memories for me, you know? It's cathartic bullshit, but not in a pleasant way. It's...
Why are you frightened? We mean you know all.
It's like it's stigma, old stigmas, like that I need to drink some sake on New Year's Eve to get over the destruction of my parents' divorce and the fact that we've moved and I have no friends and I'm in this alone, you know. And I don't think other kids had lives like that when they were 12, you know, but I did. It wasn't my parents' fault that happened. Nobody plans divorce. Nobody plans poverty. Nobody plans losing their business. I wanted to blame somebody for so fucking long. I blamed myself, you know. I was terrified of becoming rich like them and then watching it all burn instantly inside of a year. I've been terrified of it. I'm still terrified of it. I turn off the chat with great relish, and I hope that I never get famous, because I am terrified of success. I still am. I don't want it. I'm terrified of it because I know what happens. Divorce, destruction, drinking sake on New Year's Eve alone. I know what happens when you're successful. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. I'll just sit there and I'll enjoy my video games and my false world and watch my, you know, watch my YouTube and I'll pretend that I have a life, you know. But the sick, sad world that I was expected to inherit was I mean, I would say I refused. I left humanity when I was 38. I pretty much, like, I spent 18 years trying to get over the damage they caused me, and then I full-blown left humanity when I was like 38 years old, and I'm mid-40s now. I have left. It's been like 4 years or something like that. I don't think that's very normal, but I mean, it is what it is.
Why are you frightened? Why are you frightened? What do you mean?
Soon my parents will be dead and there will be no one left. There will be like my inner circle that I don't see. The woman that got terrified so badly that she left me by some crazy psycho that I don't even know. Like, I don't, you know, like fucking, I mean, I know him, but I don't know him. And like, you know, and all these terrible things that happened to me, like the divorce when I was 10 and the, you know, the fucking, the high-speed chases, the criminal courts, the sacrifice of America's son, the American prince being blooded, you know, it's just like so stupid. It's like, you know, was any of that necessary? I just wanted to be a normal dude in a normal school with a normal life in the suburbs with normal friends and normal problems. But instead there was like, you know, the divorce and the moving 25 times and the punk band, the meth addiction, the you know, the sake at 12 and the motel fight, my father throwing a television at my mother's head, the wheel well incident. I didn't really have that much fun, and I don't really like humans too much, and I think my agreement with them now is if you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone.
You know harm.
I may never have sex again. I might never, you know, and this isn't incel things. Like, I am definitely celibate on purpose because, like, I've never had an issue with that stuff. It's more that I don't want humanity in my life. They've hurt me so goddamn badly. I'm soul sick from the 9/11, the drug addictions, the homelessness, the poverty, the abuse, the you know, the guy trying to kill me, the cyber stalkers, the cyber bullies, all of it. I mean, show me something in this life beyond a good video game that's actually worth living the life for, you know? You guys make it so difficult and so shitty to do anything at all, from paying rent on down to like enjoying a Sunday afternoon. You have to pay so much money to even be able to sit down in your own home and enjoy a Sunday afternoon, you know? In this world right now, you have to pay so much money and work so hard to just relax, you know? And I'm sorry, but the world that you built has destroyed me, and I have left it.
The words echoed in...
You know, I'm not really interested in love relationships anymore. I'm not really interested in political like figures that I want to vote for. I really feel that you kind of killed humanity during my lifetime.
Woody's mind clear.
You know, and I don't like being this negative. I look for positives and something to change it. And I think the positive is getting away from you. You being the human race, you know? I think the positive is getting away. So, and no man is an island. You cannot get away from the human race, but I've done everything that I can. I have definitely mentally checked out from the human race. You know, I watch what happens because I care and love them. But in terms of me, like, being a part of it, I have mentally checked out.
Clear as day, yet unspoken.
I'm gone. I'm donezo for the human race for right now. You know, I'm donezo.
By these smiles.
I don't know how to tell you what it is. There's no word for it. It's donezo. It's like, you know, everything that you ever valued was cheapened and destroyed and then used to torture you. Even the video games, all of it, everything you ever valued was used to torture you. It had this terrible effect. Everybody I know went through it.
Man. The man introduced himself.
Everybody I know my age went through it. They all ended up in like rural towns because the cities killed them. Everybody I knew, it really was like the death of our modern civilization. I think 9/11. I think it was.
As injured cold from
everybody was drug addicts after that. Everybody was crazy. There was all these school shootings and Columbine and all this. It was just like, what happened?
At Lanulos, this foreigner continued to communicate, asking about the lights in the distance and inquiring about Parkersburg.
They took our jobs! They took your jobs!
They took your jobs! They took your jobs!
Woody explained that Parkersburg was a city, a place of business where many people lived, and Indrid, for some reason, decided to interject here and respond that on his planet, cities were called gatherings. That's cringe. All right, Indrid, that's weird.
Woody heard the words and understood them, but the man's mouth didn't move. He just kept on smiling like this. The man asked Woody his name and said he's called Cold, and he was a searcher from the planet Lanulos. Then Mr. Cold asked Woody some mundane questions about the town they were in, what kind of work Woody did, and basic small talk. And after a few minutes of friendly conversation, Mr. Cold said telepathically that he had to be going.
Their conversation, although brief, was incredibly bizarre and surreal and To be honest, if that would happen to me, I would have shit myself. I would have shit in my pants, and I would have gotten taller because of the shit underneath my ass on the seat of the...
Yeah, see, so this like close encounter that this guy had, that's how the black hat guy felt. It probably was a human being there to hurt us, and I think I actually might have stopped something that day. I don't know what it was, but like definitely happened. It scared the shit out of me. I'll never forget it.
The vehicle.
My God. It must be over 100 Kuriks!
Indrid's calm demeanor was incredibly unsettling and contrasted sharply with the circumstances.
Derenberger tells us that he was so afraid that he wasn't able to look Cold in the eyes, and that several times Cold requested that he look at him.
According to Woody, he seemed genuinely interested in learning about Earth, yet there was an unsettling undertone to his curiosity.
Let's all go work really hard for 7 figures so you can lose your wife, lose your family, get tortured, lose your business, lose all your money, lose your house, move across the country 4 or 5 times, be a child of divorce, have children of divorce, have a broken home, lose money, end up in a garage with 50 cats and all this, right? It's just, you know, I don't know. I don't really want it.
Something uncanny.
It wasn't too good. I kind of signed off. I broke the covenant. I don't know what you were offering me was not good enough.
But he couldn't shake the feeling that he was being studied like an insect.
I left the human race. I was like, no, the abuse was too much. I'm sorry. Goodbye. Goodbye. I'm lucky to talk to anybody anymore. When I talk to somebody, I get so happy because I'm like, wow, I'll probably talk to like maybe 10 more people before I die. And you're one of them, you know? I'm going to talk to like 10 more people before I die, and you're one of them, you know? It's a good feeling.
The conversation between Indrid and Woody only lasted a few minutes, but Cold reassured Mr. Woodrow that they would meet again soon. With that, he turned and walked back towards his hovering vessel, the 1999 Yukon. The craft descended a small bit, the door opened, Cold stepped inside, went, and then he went, or whatever. That's what I like to imagine. It actually made no sound at all.
After the interaction was over, Cold was said to have bid Derenberger good night, but not before telling him, "We will see you again." He then boarded his spaceship, where Derenberger claimed
we gotta watch that next.
to have seen the outline of another man in the doorway of the craft. With that, the spaceship ascended, and for the most part, that is where the mysterious tale ends.
Yes, so the vehicle lifted into the sky and disappeared as mysteriously as it had appeared.
I'm sure.
All right, guys. Woody, shaken up, sat in his truck for a few minutes and then drove home immediately, calling the police to report the strange encounter. The next day, Woody was interviewed by local media, where he provided more details about his bizarre experience.
Mr. Derenberger has a very interesting story to tell us this evening. I will give you a thumbnail sketch to begin with. Whether or not you believe in unidentified flying objects or not is not the point.
During the interview, Woody emphasized that Indrid never moved his mouth and communicated with him telepathically.
This was all mental. There was no spoken words from him. I knew what he was asking me, but yet he stood there and his mouth did not move. He had a smile on his face. He appeared very courteous and friendly.
Which is crazy. I mean, that's not something that happens, I don't think. It was obviously this detail that fascinated and unsettled interviewers, because it's like magic stuff, you know, and doesn't really make a lot of sense in our current understanding of how things work and how people talk to each other. Woody, given the opportunity, also described the ship in greater detail. He said it was charcoal colored and shone in his truck's headlights.
This object was between a real dark gray and black. I would call it a charcoal color. It glistened in my headlights. My headlights, when it stopped me, my headlights were shining directly on it.
But it had no lights or windows.
Were there lights in it?
No, I see no lights of any kind. There was no lights in it.
There were windows?
If there was windows, I couldn't detect them. I couldn't see them.
The craft was 30 to 35 feet long. It blocked the entire 2-lane highway and hovered about 8 to 10 inches off the ground at its lowest point.
And I would say it was approximately 30 to 35 feet long, and it came directly across past my truck and immediately turned sideways. It was completely across the 2-lane highway. completely blocked me. I went partly off of the road onto the berm to try to go around it, but I couldn't get around it.
And while Cold spoke to Woody, he occasionally glanced at the ship after it had risen once Cold got out, where it was hovering 50 to 75 feet above the ground before it later descended to collect Mr. Cold, and then went.
Occasionally, as I was talking to this man, I looked up and it was still there. It was approximately 50 to 75 feet off of the ground, and it stayed there all the time this man was talking to me.
Later, Woody likened the sound of the ship to that of a helicopter.
Well, if you've ever heard the blades of a helicopter as it was idling, sitting on the ground, that would be the closest way that I could describe the noise it made.
He even mimicked the noise somewhat in a comical manner during the interview.
Can you make a noise that it sounded
well,
like?
It was a fluttering noise. It sounded something like.
But it's a sound you have never heard before.
I had never heard anything like it before in my life.
This is really creepy. I hope this is all fake.
I think it is.
This is all real, by the way, not from a movie, just in case you guys were wondering. This is all legitimate. This is all interview. This is what happens back home in West Virginia. You ever been to Appalachia? Yeah. You ain't seen shit like this?
I've been to the Poconos.
Woody also described Cold's appearance meticulously. He had a top coat zipped
I've been
down
to Martha's
from front,
Vineyard.
a shiny
I've been
metallic
to
outfit with a darker shirt
Cape
and a
Cod.
cloth pant. Man, this guy had style!
He had a top coat on, and it was zippered down the front. His top, the top two buttons, like my coat here, were open, and this outfit was a shiny material. It was a glossy outfit, like it was metallic, I suppose you would call it. And his shirt was a little bit darker than his jacket.
And apparently Cold's skin was tan.
His face looked like he had a good tan, a deep suntan. He was not too dark, but it was just like he had been out in the sun a lot and had a good tan.
His hair was brown, and it was combed straight back, and he had very normal features. Almost too normal, like normal Bob, or whatever that SpongeBob with the smooth. Is it normal Bob? Well, hi there. Hi, how are you? Or however he says. He's just a regular-ass Midwesterner from Minnesota or from Iowa or something like that.
Tom, how are you?
This guy just looks so normal that it freaked poor Woody out. And I don't blame him. Whenever I see normal-looking people, I get freaked out too, and I start hitting them. A good analogy is a similar one to the smile. The bizarre nature of the smile. It looked like someone was told what a smile might be and was told to mimic that. It's like, this is what a human probably looks like. This is what you should probably look like. Every single thing about Indrid, from his smile to his features to his sick fit, would fall into the Uncanny Valley. By the way, the Uncanny Valley is this. It's pretty cool. If you don't know, you probably always hear people talking about the Uncanny Valley. This is what it is. It's pretty unique. And this all seems very far-fetched and unbelievable, especially in the 1960s in Ohio and West Virginia. The interviewer himself even asked Woody if he drank, trying to find some kind of logical explanation for at least some of this, the bizarre, surreal tale.
You drink?
No, I do not drink.
You don't drink intoxicating beverages?
No, I do not drink any intoxicating beverages at all. I don't believe in drinking, and I just don't.
Woody, as we all hoped, insisted that he was sober, implying that the encounter was real and not a figment of an altered mind. The man is on the straight and narrow.
Get there in your kid's school too.
Boo!
Hey
Boo!
guys,
Get off the stage, fucking
and you
nerd!
Should too. Near the end of this really
Fuck
strange
you!
interview, Woody mentioned that he believes others
Fuck
must
dare!
have also seen the conversation.
Piece of shit program.
As during the encounter,
You didn't stop the
vehicles were
drugs at
passing by
all.
on the highway.
But no one
Stop lying.
slowed down or
No one slowed down.
But they would have easily been able to see him.
Kids don't do drugs. What the fuck are you talking about? I never met anybody who ever did drugs before they were like 13.
I know that there was several cars passed.
If a 14-year-old wants to smoke weed, I don't care. I don't care about that.
Was coming to meet me.
Same with the wine. Same with all the drugs. I don't care. I think the age of consent should be 16. The age of drugs should be 14, and the age of driving should be 21.
His lights would be shining off to the right.
So you're doing drugs long before you have sex. You have sex long before you're drinking. You know. And you drive long before you're drinking. You know. Drinking's the thing that you do when you reach 21. You know. 6 people is good. Easy. Yay for skulls. Skulls, skulls, skulls.
But I still think that he could have seen and probably did see.
So there was witnesses that night on 77 outside of Parkerburg. So Woody has this crazy experience with this man named Indrid, goes immediately on the local news and is interviewed. After the interview was broadcast, Woodrow Derenberger's life changed dramatically. He became a local hero, a local celebrity, and the story gained widespread popularity. People were seeking him out from around the world, bombarding him with questions, desperate to understand his otherworldly encounter. Hey! Woody, tell me, how was it? He seems strangely calm about all of it. If some guy smiling, and he said he was gonna meet him again, some guy smiling like that, hung out with me, and then I talked about it, made a big deal about it, and then he also said he was gonna meet, I would be worried about that every single night of my life for the rest of my fucking existence. But we get into it, guys. He comes back. And speaking more to that negative side, not everyone was buzzing with excitement over the rumored encounter with an extraterrestrial. As Woody tried to return to normal life, he quickly realized that his encounter with Indrid was only the beginning. Of course, guys, little did he know, the real nightmare was about to unfold at his own doorstep. Why did you have to make such a big deal out of it? Even me talking about it, I feel like I'm gonna get harassed. I'm scared to make this video. That's how much of a pussy I am with this shit. I don't care about demons, ghosts, but aliens and intelligence communities. I love making videos about them, but I'm afraid they're gonna come after me. After the initial interview with WTAP-TV the day following Woody's encounter with Mr. Cold, Woody's story spread like wildfire. Newspapers picked up the story. The Raleigh Register placed it on the top of their front page just 2 days later. The Cumberland Evening Times in Maryland also featured a column about Woody's encounter on their page 5. Woody Derenberger became a local legend, a household name in the area, which is a small area, but it happened overnight. And living in the small town of Mineral Wells, it wasn't long before people discovered where he lived, and he got doxxed and swatted a lot. Just kidding, but actually, from that moment, his home was no longer a sanctuary. At all times of the day and night, people would come and visit Woody, desperate for interviews and answers. News stations swarmed every part of Woody's life. Everyone wanted to talk to the guy who had allegedly seen an alienoid. As you can imagine, the situation quickly spiraled out of control. Even late at night, strangers knocked on his door, begging him to retell the story that they had heard 1,000 times. When everything first started happening, Woody and his family tried their best to accommodate the curious visitors, but they then quickly found out the negative, parasitic, bizarre nature that parasocial relationships can bring, and they learned to not do that. But at one point, Woody's wife was even serving cookies and engaging with guests who were eager to hear more about her husband's encounter with Indrid. One evening after work, Woody would return home and find a long line of cars parked on the road, all waiting to hear his story. The crowd in his yard was massive. He estimated 150 people, a proper fucking crowd of strangers that scared his wife and children, who felt increasingly unsafe with the continuous presence of just strangers all the time. And the constant harassment extended beyond that, obviously. Woody's son faced ridicule at school, with classmates calling his family liars, accusing them of fabricating the story for fame, because we've seen that. There was that little kid who his parents said got taken away by those balloons at one time, and he was actually just in the house. That shit was crazy. It's happened a lot. There's been many stories that have been fabricated for fame, money, clout.
Including this one.
It was just bad. Woody had become harassed in his own home, and no semblance of normalcy seemed to be within reach. And his family, himself, his children, were all at the end. But luckily, Indrid Cold came back and made another visit, and paid them another visit, guys, to make everything better. Or it just furthered The mystery and fear. Late one night, around 11 p.m., Woody Derenberger came home to find Indrid Cold waiting for him once again. This time, Indrid wasn't alone. He had brought a friend named Carl Ardell. Clearly a made-up name. That's a bullshit name. Sorry, Carl, I don't buy it. You're not a human. You're a monster. Look at this son of a bitch. The three of them sat in Woody's yard engaging in a conversation that defied all logic and earthly understanding. As they talked, the atmosphere grew more and more surreal, similar to the first conversation that Indrid had with Woody. Indrid and Carl then invited Woody to see their ship up close, and he was intrigued and excited by this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. By the way, I wouldn't do that. I don't know if you guys, if a alien guy that looks like this came up to you and was like, hey, want to check out my craft? I don't think I would. I'd be like, oh no, that's fine. That's fine. I actually, I have there's a lot of poop in my ass, and I have to shit really bad. So unless you want me to like shit in it. But he eventually, for some reason, followed them to the mysterious craft, the same one that he had seen before. And when they reached the ship, they asked Woody if he would like to come aboard and explore the interior. Woody, despite his apprehension, could not resist the chance. For more fame and harassment, apparently. Inside the ship, Woody was met with sights that were beyond his comprehension. Yet again, Sky cannot comprehend much. One particular feature that caught his eye was a bright blue panel. Driven by curiosity, he reached out and touched it. Instantly, the door shut with a loud thud. Panic set in as Woody thought they were taking him against his will. However, Indrid calmly explained that Woody himself had triggered the door's closure. What an idiot. What a fool. He's like one of those henchmen turning knobs arbitrarily to seem busy in Austin Powers.
Not you, henchman, arbitrarily turning knobs, making it seem like you're doing something.
The realization that touching a button on this blue panel led to closing the door astounded Woody, because this is like the 60s. It's a long time ago. The doors were far too large and powerful to be operated manually, so there had to be some kind of sophisticated hydraulic system responding to his touch as if by magic. You know, this is before really computers that weren't the size of houses, and also before touch screens and any of the cool shit we've got now, fellow iPad babies. Once Woody regained his composure following the door incident, Indrid posited an intriguing question. Hey Woody, if you could go anywhere, where would you want to go, Woody? Woody, for some reason, without hesitation, mentioned the Amazon jungle. The ship then vibrated, and astonishingly, the windows opened to reveal the Amazon below.
No, it didn't.
Woody looked down below and gazed in awe at the sight of the lush forests and winding rivers and villages teeming with life. I don't know if that's accurate for the Amazon, but that's what he said. So, the sight of the Amazon from above was breathtaking for Woody. But luckily for Woody, the journey didn't end there. Next stop, the moon. The ship quickly transported to Earth's moon, guys. Here, they linked up with the mothership, or flagship, as they called it. It was a colossal vessel that dwarfed the one that they were in. You know, that little funny shape when the little pregnant woman one. Woody marveled at the sheer scale of the flagship. It is advanced technology far beyond anything on Earth, which is super based, super red-pilled, also very scary. But next, guys, they went to somewhere even more extraordinary. That is Lanulos, Indrid Cold's home planet. They went to a gathering. And it is at this point I start to wonder how verifiable of a source of information this Woody guy is. This is starting to seem crazy. All right, but shit, I still believe him. I believe that son of a...
I do not.
Let's all have a little piece of ginger together, all right? It's good for the gut. So obviously this ship was traveling at speeds that defy human understanding, like everything else that's happening along here. And before long, they went to Lanulos. They arrived there. Apparently Lanulos is a place of beauty and strangeness, and Arby's. There was Arby's there, which I thought was very strange and sort of unexpected. A bit of a right turn I wouldn't have expected. A red herring, I was gonna say. We have the meats. Arby's. I love Arby's. Do you guys like Arby's? Most people hate Arby's. Comment down below what you think. Woody saw vast fields, dense forests, clear rivers, all on Lanulos. Some gatherings, as they call it, all bustling with life, busting with life. Woody also noticed cars hovering without wheels. They were hovering smoothly above the ground, people going about their daily lives, all very handsome and slick. All right, guys. Beautiful, beautiful outfits. He wondered to himself, are all these people gay? Indrid introduced Woody to his wife and children. Seems like bullshit. They greeted him warmly. The Cold family was strikingly normal, yet everything about their world felt different. particularly the way that they looked. They visited apparently this place called Number 27 Gathering, a city that showcased the technological and cultural marvels of Lanulos. Woody saw stores, factories, all similar in purpose to those on Earth, but operating with an efficiency and elegance that was out of this world. Yeah, pretty good. Anyways, during their exploration, Indrid asked Woody if he would like to meet another Earth family who had been brought to Lanulos almost 40 years ago. That's kind of scary, to be honest. People getting kidnapped. Anyways, Woody declined, luckily. He felt a strong sense of duty. He declined, saying that he wanted Earth to be more like Lanulos. He would leverage the knowledge and advancements of this otherworldly society to benefit humanity.
Listen to this fucking stupid shit.
On Earth. What a good guy Woody was. With their tour of Lanulos complete, it was time for Woody to return to Earth. I just wanted to rip him up a little bit. I feel like Indrid Cold looks so creepy and scary, but it's more like a Richard Byrd situation. You go to the center of the Earth and everybody's really chill, you know? I feel like the Dark Forest theory is the only reasonable explanation for life outside of Earth, you know? The Dark Forest theory, very scary. I feel like an Indrid Cold and a Dark Forest theory would be so scary. I don't like people that look like this. You know, joyous people. Anyways, Woody boarded the spaceship once more and they made their journey back to Earth, landing safely around 10 p.m. So yeah, this is all real, by the way. This all actually happened according to Woody Derenberger. His journey to Lanulos offered him a profound glimpse into alien society that is unlike anything here on Earth, guys. A profound glimpse that no one else has ever been able to see, except for me, every night against my will in my dreams, right? I don't like aliens, and they always visit me in my dreams a lot. And T-Rexes as well, a lot of those. Woody described the people from Lanulos in his book, Visitors from Lanulos. He said that they lived in a utopia free from the concepts of hate and secrets. Their ability to communicate telepathically apparently led to no secrets, because no thoughts could be hidden. It fostered a community built on transparency and understanding and smiles. It was also a classless society. Everyone lives equally there. Leaders were seen as no better than those who performed manual labor, such as digging ditches. They even dig ditches on Lanulos. There was no hierarchy, no class division. There was an absence of greed and an abundance of resources. Money had no value. Instead of being paid by the job, individuals were compensated based on the size of their families, ensuring that everyone had enough to meet their needs, which is pretty cool, I guess. I mean, what are these, commies? Because, like, it's starting to sound like they're commies, and I don't know if I like that. So, as anyone in the 60s would do, Woody asked them, with some earthly skepticism, "Are you all communist?" The Lanulosians explained that they lived by the free will of the people, whatever the that means. Their system was not driven by an ideology, but by a collective commitment to the well-being of all, which I guess makes sense. And, like, you know, on paper, that a lot of ideologies work really, really well. But when you mix human nature in there, if everyone could communicate telepathically and you could just hear someone's thoughts and then decide whether or not you want to kill them with a stone because of their thoughts, because I feel like most people's thoughts, if you could hear them, you would want to kill them with a stone. I don't know, that's probably just me. I feel like if people heard my thoughts, they'd want to kill me with stones. Just kidding. Also, just to make matters even worse and really brag even more, the people of Lanulos were extremely attractive and physically fit. No one was under or overweight. Woody attributed this all to their healthy lifestyle and diet. Also, Ozempic. That's where Ozempic came from, Lanulos. The people of Lanulos live long lives, often surpassing 100 years. Nudity was also the norm. Huge 8.5-inch cocks on average. Shit was incredible. I was there with Woody. Me and my friend Woody went to Lanulos a while back. Clothing in their society was only worn for protection against the cold or during certain jobs that required it, such as working in factories where there were, you know, you would require to be wearing heat protective gear, or like, you know, a sandblaster. Anyways, in spite of their alien ways, the Lanulosians engaged in activities that seemed familiar. They worked, played sports like volleyball. They had various means of relaxation, for example, like wild apes, wild chimps. Their relationships, though, are quite different from those on Earth. Casual flings are unheard of on Lanulos, so the like apes is not a real thing. But if a couple found themselves incompatible, they could amicably find new partners. I don't know, dude. They're pretty cool. It just shows you, if they are real, that there is quite a commitment to harmony, and, you know, all that's based on understanding. And guys, I think I might be a Lanulosian at heart, or whatever. If it's real, of course. I don't know, the jury's still out on whether or not it's real. The people of Lanulos truly did not understand the concepts of war or hatred. Those concepts were equally as alien to their society as their concepts are to our society. Their society was free of conflict, filled with mutual respect, and it left a lasting impression on Mr. Woody from Mineral Wells, West Virginia. Summarizing their way of life, Woody often reflected on how these Marxist aliens lived in a state of natural harmony, walking around naked and devoid of the conflicts that plague Earth. Their civilization, though strange to him, was a beacon of what humanity could aspire to be. A world without war, hatred, or inequality. And also a world with fear. Look at this guy. Are you shitting me, dude? If this guy appeared at any point and didn't make himself known before, I'd just blast him. I would just start beating him, blasting him, and knowing him, he's probably got like a black belt in Lanulosian Taekwondo or some shit, so he'd probably kick my jaw out of socket, and then he'd be like, I'm sorry, but I saw that coming before you even did it. It's because I can speak telepathically. Your thoughts, they're mine. Die, white boy. I'm tan. So Woody's encounter and experience with the people of Lanulos and Injured Cold, which I didn't see the Lanulos shit coming. I'm not sure if it's normal to see a alien and then just expect that the story eventually goes on to a guy abandoning his family to go visit a planet Lanulos to hang out with Marxist aliens. This first sighting occurred only a few weeks before Woody's encounter in October 1966, but in New Jersey instead of the Ohio, West Virginia area. So, two young boys reported seeing a strange man in a metallic green suit leaning on a fence. Intrigued, they approached him only to be met with a huge, unsettling grin. He was happy. Not a lot of happy people in New Jersey. The man also began to chase them, which is very scary. The boys fled in terror, as boys would when a smiling, metallic-suited green man would... that would make me run as well. This report coincided with several UFO sightings in the area as well, which added a layer of mystery to their story and a layer of validation, I guess, because you got like cross-referencing. Kind of cool. A lot of cross-referencing in the UFO world. Plus, the description provided by the boys was chillingly similar to Woody's account. The man was over 6 feet tall and dressed in a sparkling green coverall costume that shimmered and reflected the street lights. There was a wide black belt around his waist. He had a very dark complexion and little round, real beady eyes set far apart. Looked like this. They also noted the absence of hair, ears, and a nose, and couldn't recall if he had hands, whether or not, which is pretty wild. Imagine not having hands, dude. So yeah, the mold of this fella definitely fits the mold of Injured Cold, although the boys didn't know it at the time. The second sighting after the boys sighting is more contentious in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, only about an hour south of Parkersburg, where Woody and his family had an encounter. A family reported experiencing poltergeist activity in their home, and amidst these strange occurrences, their daughter claimed to see a man at the foot of her bed. You know, she described him as a tall, broad man with a sinister grin, and he walked around her bed, and as she hid under the covers, screaming,
that's what happened to me. It was probably a creeper in Jersey. I think I probably saw a creeper in Jersey. I probably had like a brush like I probably had a brush with like a creeper, you know. And I think he probably roamed Jersey, and I'm one of the kids who he probably, I think, you know, it's weird.
She peeked out. He was gone. This actually happened to me, but it was like a big man, and he was shimmery. He was all shimmery and like he wasn't really real. I was just. He walked in my door. Like my bed was like this, basically. It was like this way, and then the door was right there at the end of the room, and he just went and then walked over to me, and then I like. And then I flew off into space and shit. It's crazy. I don't know if it was real or just a hag dream or whatever they're called. Sleep paralysis. I have a lot of sleep paralysis, so it's all good. Unlike the other encounters with Injured, this one took place inside and involved poltergeist-like phenomena, which is sort of dissimilar to the other two, obviously. Cold was typically seen outside and never displayed such magic powers other than telepathic communication. The only similarity was the man's height and grin, leading many skeptics to believe that it was more likely related to the stress of the poltergeist activity, or perhaps a case of sleep paralysis, you know, because it would be unreasonable if otherwise. Nonetheless, the description of the man definitely expands the lore of Injured Cold. which I like that, okay? I will point out the elephant in the room and say that these sightings seem more contradictory to the injured Cold that we've grown to understand from the story of Woody. If true, why would Woody hate kids and want them to die and stuff? Because he was so nice to Woody, and he literally took Woody back to his home planet and was like, look at all these naked people, check this out. And then like he just chases children around and takes his nose off and has no hands. That's weird. Who is he? Is he an alien? Is there a more human explanation to these encounters? I have no idea. What the fuck? The story of Injured Cold is cool though. I really like it. It's one that's been on the back of my mind for a long time. And actually we got him in a little project we're working on, a little Injured Cold project. Not exactly, but like sort of vaguely. Not really, actually. Anything. There's this creepy man who smiles who's not from this world. So anyways, let me know down below, what do you guys think? This is real or fake? I think it's real. I believe it. The story of Injured Cold to me is fascinating and perplexing. I love being able to see legit interview segments and actual, you know, documentation in regard to shit. I generally have a skeptical perspective, but I always want this stuff to be true. That's where I'm always coming from. I want everything insane to be true. There's an eerie quality to this story that I would like to see what you guys think. I don't know. The attempt at mimicking human facial expressions, the friendliness, I don't know, it's weird. What do you guys think? This part of the story is where things get really interesting, okay? Because we go back to the 1960s. We got this guy, Woody, who talks about it. He goes and takes interviews. This is 20 years after Roswell. This is when the government is actually starting to take UFO stuff pretty seriously. They're looking into it. The CIA has their own little UFO investigative journalist operation thing going on. There's propaganda. There's a bunch of fear. There's a bunch of just misinformation. And from the time around the Injured Cold sighting and Woody's massive publication of all this stuff, there isn't that much evidence. But in a Raleigh Register article 2 days after the Woody encounter, it mentioned that an Air Force spokesman said to the Raleigh Register journalists that the investigation for this incident would be referred to higher authorities in Washington or the UFO Investigative Center. But the results of the investigation, if they ever even happened, were not something that we could locate with our just simple Google searches. But a declassified CIA document from January 7th, 1967 titled 1966 Good Year for UFO Reports includes a PDF of a Syracuse, New York Post Standard article detailing notable UFO sightings from September and October of 1966. It describes November, the month of Woody's encounter, as the most important month of the year for UFO sightings. This is an official CIA document. To be clear though, it does not directly mention Woody's encounter. Here's another document right here. An Air Force UFO fact sheet that details extensive investigations into UFOs between 1947 and 1969. Of the 12,618 sightings reported, 701 remained unexplained. In 1966 alone, there were 1,112 sightings and 32 of those remained unidentified. This is big because the government couldn't even be like, hey, that's just a weather balloon flipping upside down from China that's playing H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds and causing mass hysteria. Or more reasonable explanations for debunked sightings that included material objects, balloons, immaterial phenomena like lightning, or astronomical objects like stars, fucking ball lightning, all that shit. Those lights, what are those lights called? I forget. Either way, these explanations don't really touch the Woody Indrid, to be honest, because like he had him roll down his window. He was like, how are you doing? Would you like to come to my planet? Yeah, big difference between all that debunked shit and asking a truck driver what a city is. That's crazy. So in the end, attempts to investigate Injured Cold's appearance in 1966 seemed fairly sparse. A 417-page annotated bibliography on UFOs prepared by the Library of Congress in 1969 includes a few lines related to UFO ground level activities in Ohio and West Virginia. These all between October 1966 and January 1967, which is the general time frame of the Woody encounters. But there's still a massive lack of in-depth investigation. So there's just enough information out there to leave some room for belief, and just enough lack of information out there to leave room for skepticism. This is probably why this whole thing is still a debated encounter. Even Woody's publisher shared their thoughts in the note to the end of Woody's book, Visitors from Lanulos, where they claimed Injured Cold was real, flew a flying saucer, and had connections with the CIA and NSA, posing as an FBI agent and threatening their employees. These claims, however, are statements we could not research, nor could we confirm. because that's crazy. That's crazy that this is the end of the book. So how the fuck does anyone confirm or debunk this? I know I've been kind of tongue-in-cheek, facetiously saying, that seems real, you know, when I don't think any of this is real. But, like, why? I mean, I guess it's just fake for clout. I'm not sure. I'm talking about it right now, and it's been 60 years, so yeah. Anyways, let me know down below what you guys think. Once again, go to sour.gg, buy some candy, go to gump.club, become a member, all right? Contribute to the channel. We get cool, uncensored videos, and you get a say. There's awesome stuff on there, and we're going to keep on adding more and more and more stuff, and hopefully making more and more high-quality videos as time goes on, guys. So yeah, anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, press the like button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Khalif, they say, has identified as a woman his whole life. They say there's no indication Khalif is trans. So the Olympics thinks it's fair for a genetic male to punch a woman so hard in the face she quits and cries, as long as it says female on her passport. And they're gonna let this guy keep beating up women in Paris, and they're just gonna hand him a gold medal for it?
So that was obviously gross. I mean, it was Jesse Waters. You knew that it was going to be pretty gross. It also represents another retreat on the right where before they would claim that they want to focus on biological women who have the right genitals. Well, now that's not good enough. So he's taken a step back from biological woman to genetic woman, which doesn't even mean anything. But that's where we're at in terms of their understanding of what exactly a woman is. But what you saw right there is a story that's been literally everywhere. I believe last night every single Fox program had a segment on this, a story that had already been debunked for hours and hours by the time they went live.
Hey, don't scroll away. Come back. Because before the video continues, we just want to urge you to lend your support to TYT. You power our honest reporting. You do it at tyt.com/team, and we love you for it.
But they're focusing there on the victory of Algerian boxer Imani Khalif over Italian boxer Angela Carini, who quit 46 seconds into their bout. And as a result of that, some people immediately began tweeting that Khalif was trans and that this was a man engaging in women's sports. And I am sure there are many right-wingers that simply believe that they trusted the wrong people and went insane and started calling for Khalif's head. Of course, Khalif is not trans. The reason that, as Jesse Waters says, there's no evidence she ever identified as anything else is because she has always identified exactly as what she is and what she was born as. But despite that, we're supposed to do this thing now where we try to provide information to sway these people and bring them back with evidence and logic when neither evidence nor logic got them to the dark place they're in. But sure, let's spend a couple of minutes doing that. So, Khalif is an amateur boxer.
To the dark place.
Won a silver medal at the 2022 International Boxing Association Championship. Had previously gotten a silver back in the previous Olympics. IBA President Umar Kremlev claimed last year that a previous disqualification from a competition last year were because, quote, it was proven they have XY chromosomes. They, a reference to she, so the misgendering continues. Now, males typically have XY chromosomes, while females typically have XX chromosomes. However, there is the differences of sex development group of conditions. This is a rare condition, but it involves genes, hormones, and reproductive organs. Some people with DSDs are raised as female, but have XY sex chromosomes and blood testosterone levels in the male range. So you can have elevated testosterone, so that hormone can be different than might be expected. Now, we don't know if Khalif really has DSD. The entire world is collectively making a whole bunch of assumptions and speculation about what this individual.
She doesn't. I'm going to explain why she doesn't.
Exactly. Well, I'm saying a lot of people are weighing in that are suddenly becoming experts in all this. But in a statement this week, the IBA said that women did not undergo a testosterone examination, but a separate and recognized test, they say. The statement added that the test and results are confidential. And the IOC, which is overseeing the boxing competition that we're talking about here, does not test for gender, and there never has been any evidence that either Khalif or fellow boxer Lin Yuting had XY chromosomes or elevated levels of testosterone. They have competed for years, including at the Tokyo Olympics and several world championships. Khalif, by the way, has lost 9 times in international bouts to other women. That said, we have a lot that we're going to get into, including some of the initial tweets that went viral and made this a massive thing. But what do you think?
Okay, so first let's discuss how all this came about in the first place. That'll show you exactly why this nonsense story came up and is completely untrue. And then we'll get into why the Republicans are obsessed with this and how it's going to be their undoing. So that'll be fun. Jesse Waters said, they say this about her. They say that. Who's they? So I was curious, who's saying it? Because if it turns out she failed a test, you know, and this to the great frustration of a lot of people on the left, I do think past high school that it's okay for organizations, whether it's professional organizations or the Olympics, to do testing and to say, hey, we're going to even exclude trans athletes. Okay, so a lot of the people on the left will disagree with me on that. Some of you, obviously, some folks on this panel disagree with that. So I'll come back to the politics of that in a second. So did anybody do that in this case? No. So the people, who was the they? It's IBA that John told you about, and their president, Umar Kremlev. Now, why would the IBA care? Why would Kremlev care? Well, it turns out
I cannot do anything!
Beat a Russian female boxer right
I cannot do anything! I cannot hit him!
Competition.
What
where the
was
Russians
that?
really
You
wanted to
suck
win,
so much dick!
Okay?
Fucking
So
Microsoft!
all of a sudden, the Russian leader of the IBA says,
was that?
Oh, golly,
You
gee, I think
fucking
she might have
piece
failed
of
the test.
shit,
And the other
Microsoft.
competitive person that might beat the Russian athlete as well. You want to know who not only the largest, but the only sponsor of the IBA was in that event where they claimed that she failed this ambiguous test that they've never
software
actually
failure
shared
constantly.
publicly? Gazprom, a giant Russian oil company. Okay? Do you want to know where this news story was leaked to? It was TASS, a Russian news agency. And when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute, I thought we weren't paying attention to the Russian news outlets anymore. I thought they were propaganda, etc. And now all of a sudden, everybody's like, well, the Russian news said it. It must be true, okay? So no, this has nothing to do with transgender controversies here in America. No, some crooked Russian dude running the IBA, which has now been it was decertified before this controversy, because they're a bunch of crooks, it looks like, okay? And so this guy, he says dumbass things like, oh, the head of the IOC, the Olympic Committee, is, what did he call him? Some sort of eunuch or pedophile. Just a total, nut job, okay? Utter nut job. That's where this story came from. To the best of our ability to tell, there was no test. They've never said what the test was. They said, it's a very reputable test we can't share with you. Or the Russian news agency is reporting it, right? So this is garbage, total dumpster fire of a story. So now, the politics of it. Kamala Harris just took the lead by about 5 points in a Trump-favoring poll. She's caught him in almost all the swing states. She's passed him in Pennsylvania. She made up a 12-point lead in Nevada. Trump is slip-sliding away. He's flailing like crazy. And you Republicans think it's a good idea to focus on the potential testicles of an Algerian boxer? Have at it, Hoss. I can't. Go for it. You look like idiots. You're making a giant case out of this, like, oh, this is the most important thing in the world. Does she have potential testicles or not? Go ahead. Here's some more rope. Hang yourself. Go for it. Okay, politically speaking, this is so dumb of the right wing to focus on this. So please keep going.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion on this, I think it's important to know the IOC basically called the IBA out on that. They issued a statement that said effectively and exactly that, Cenk, that like this was a unilateral decision made by one guy, and no one's seen those tests. But I will say, and I will push back, because I do feel like some of the anti-trans athlete speak is a slippery slope into broader anti-trans behavior and also policing of athletes writ large. Beyond Khalif, earlier this week, a rugby player for the American team, Ilona Maher, was called a man because she's 6'6" and a massive unit. And she successfully helped that team win bronze, the very first time an American team has won a medal in rugby. And she was called a man. Why? Because she's big, because she's a rugby player. And so when we start to say that trans people can't play in Olympic sports, right? They can't play in the sport of their chosen gender. then everyone becomes a cop. And everyone starts to look at everyone's makeup and their muscles and their cheekbones and what looks different and what they think in their subjective mind a woman or a man should and does look like. And so I just want to say that sometimes when we traffic in these ideas that trans people should not be able to participate in sports at these levels, it does lead to things like Jesse Waters openly saying that on primetime television. And I want to just center that when we stand with trans people, yes, even trans athletes, that all goes away and we stand with them no matter what. But you start to dabble and you open up, everyone becomes genital police, and I just have to push back on that. And you've done it, Jake.
I totally
You've
disagree.
done it.
I totally disagree. So, first of all, when you have an extreme position, you have an extreme position that says, no, we don't ever ask anyone. And I think the Olympics position is actually absurd. They don't do any genetic testing. They don't do any testing. So you could, since they don't do any testing at all, you can just walk in and call yourself a female. Not be trans. Trans people are actually...
Do it, Jane. Do it.
Okay, yeah, all right, well, you can say it, but then what's going to happen?
Rugby,
Somebody's going to do it, and they're going to get away with it, and then everybody's going to be furious, okay? It's, all right, I can't stand it. And it doesn't help trans people at all to have these extreme positions. Oh, yeah, don't test anyone, just take their word for it. I think it's terrible politics.
It's not an extreme position. It comes from a position of human rights, and it does help all people. It's not a human right to compete in the other genders' What you see there is what you just saw are women, are biological women, being attacked for being trans because of the anti-trans athletic narrative that has already festered and has now come for these women. And so what are the women to do? Say, I'm not a man. In fact, screw, like, I'm not a trans man. Are you kidding me? No. We all stand in solidarity together. That's how we actually fight the right when it comes to their bull crap culture wars that lead nowhere, and it doesn't serve. Look, I understand, Jake. You're in the majority. You're in the majority. I'm in the minority. Most people disagree that trans athletes should participate in Olympic sports. Most people don't agree with me. But hell, man, I'm willing to stand on a hill that is unpopular and fight for people and for their human rights.
Yeah, look, we could spend an hour debating this, and I have in the past. But when...
Not really, though.
Yeah.
Not really. Not really debate, more of an agreement.
Okay, whatever. I'm happy to debate anybody about it. I think it's... I don't agree. Okay. And you're never going to get me to agree by saying it's the left-wing position, it's the pro-trans position. I don't think it's a pro-trans position at all.
You should just offer a platform.
Okay.
You don't have to agree.
All right. So when your opponent is in the middle of doing something radical, step out of the way and let them do it instead of stepping in the way and saying, hey, I'm more radical. Okay, I think it's terrible politics. It's terrible for trans people. I think it's terrible for the LGBTQ community, and I think it's terrible for the people who are looking to defeat Trump. So can we please get out of the way and let the Republicans do the dumb things?
I think you're laying out a hypothetical that is conceivable. Someone can conceive of it happening, but I think the reason you keep having Republicans over and over, by the way, there's already another case of this in boxing. You identified, Francesca, a case in rugby. There are so few trans athletes that the right constantly invents trans athletes to attack. That is how hypothetical their problem is, that they can't even talk about it actually happening. They just keep pointing at people who aren't trans and saying they're trans. In sports, it even not... Michelle Obama gets to be trans because they need someone to be trans. The wife of Emmanuel Macron has to be trans because they need someone to be trans. They invent trans people because trans people do not constantly transgress and ruin their lives, so they can't actually point to them. They have to invent fictional trans people to talk about.
That's exactly my point, and I totally agree with John on that, even if we might disagree on the other things.
I do agree with
So
that too.
my point is, at most, this affects 7 people in the country. So I'm not saying that you should abandon those 7 people. We have an honest difference of opinion on how to help those 7 people, okay? But if the Republicans are making a giant deal out of how much they hate those 7 people, okay, let them punch themselves in the face over and over and over again. So that's why politically, guys, do not get mired in this muck, right? Make fun of them for inventing trans people to hate. You're totally right about that, John. They hate so much that they have to invent problems that don't even exist, and they make fun of them for that. I think that's a much better political strategy. And by the way, I found a quote of the idiot who runs the IBA. He called the head of the IOC a chief sodomite. Jesus. Okay, and so look, when the Republicans are like, oh, I love that guy who called the other guy a chief sodomite. Great, wonderful. Here, come, just tell everybody, because you look so stupid and hateful.
Don't call them weird, though. I want to make a couple of quick points about this specific case, though. So on her and her record, so like when you find out that she has lost 9 times, that could influence your evaluation of whether it's fair for her to compete. When you find out that in her 37 victories, she has only 5 knockouts, it goes against the attempted narrative that she is She-Hulk and no person can stand against them. But the issue with that is we can't expect them to know that, because none of the people, and we can show you J.K. Rowling and Elon Musk and Riley Gaines and Donald Trump and Valentina Gomez and Jesse Waters and literally all of them complaining about this, none of them give one single quantum of a damn about women's boxing. I want to be super clear about that. None of them watched a boxing match. They didn't watch this one. None of them, even after this, will watch a single one. They don't care about women's boxing more than they care about literally any women's sport, to be very, very clear. And on the evaluation of what is a woman, a question they love to ask, they kept saying it's not a social construct. It's not a frame of mind. It's not what you believe yourself to be. It's not an identity. It's in your pants. It's your genitals. Oops, that's not good enough. It's not that. Because she has too much testosterone. That's it. It's the hormones. If you change your hormones, then it doesn't matter if you were born with a vagina. You're not anymore because your hormones changed. Now you're a man. But they don't believe that hormone replacement therapy changes your gender. They've never given ground on that. And suddenly, that's their retreat point, is if your hormones are out of whack, it doesn't matter what's in your pants. The entire thing is ridiculous. So the final point I want to make, and I apologize, I've been thinking about this for like 48 hours straight. If they wanted to talk about protecting women, there's a rapist at the Olympics right now. There's a volleyball player who raped a 12-year-old. They don't got anything to say about that because they don't care, because they're not paying attention. But also, to be clear, if they wanted to talk about how important female athletes are and their amazing accomplishments and all that, and if they could ever bring themselves to do that without it being about a trans athlete, Katie Ledecky became the most decorated American woman in Olympic history. Simone Biles is now the most decorated female gymnast in world history. The literal GOAT. They did amazing, historic things, and not a single one of these people cares at all about it.
Nope.
Not interested whatsoever, because women are irrelevant. All of this is a defense mechanism from a movement of misogynists that know how regressive they look when it comes to women and are constantly desperately looking for a shallow cloak that allows them to pretend that they give a damn about women for even a single second. That's all this is.
Amen.
Yeah.
And also, just a correction, it's cisgender, not biological. So let's just be able to say cisgender women. We should normalize cisgender. That's easy enough for us to do.
I will only say that when I say that, I'm saying it's the way they use that term. I don't use that term, but they say that's what they want, and then it's not good enough in the end.
Yeah.
And I do know it's a minority, and all I have to say, all I am saying is that if and when there is a trans athlete, can we stand with them? And can we see and tie our own liberation together and our own defense against this bigotry together? And me as a feminist, me as a cisgender woman, I believe that my own liberation, my fight against that misogyny that John's talking about, if someone were to call me a man, say, I'm not a man, but also I stand with trans people, I stand with trans athletes, and I hope that we will see that eventually one day. Even for those 7 people, I do think it matters.
Yeah, all right, last thing I'll say on it is, similar to what John was saying, Imani Khalif has lost 9 matches, but they're convinced, oh my God, this is a giant, she's dominating the sport. So when I was gonna make a similar point about Leidecker, she won the 1500 meter race by 17 seconds.
That's insane.
It's unheard of. There was no one else in the frame. It looked like there was no one else in the pool. The top, you know how many of the top 20 times in the top swimming race Katie Leidecker has come in #1? In other words, she owns the record of the top 20, all 20. She has all 20 of the fastest times, okay? She's unbelievable. So they don't care who's actually dominant in the sport. They don't actually care about the competition. Oh, well, look, man, if you have a man, you can't compete and blah, blah, blah. Katie Leineker's killing him, no matter who's in the race, right? They don't care, oh, that it's unfair that she has a genetic advantage because she's better than them, right? That's the whole point of the Olympics. All they care about is how do we get people to focus all their hatred on people that are in the LGBTQ community. So Khalif is not dominant in the sport. It doesn't matter. They're just using it as an excuse to attack that community because their whole point is hatred. That's why this is so dumb politically. They keep assuming that the average American is as hateful as they are, and they're incorrect. Let's step out of the way and let them clown themselves.
Thanks for watching. If you become a member, you get to watch all this ad-free, except for, of course, this ad. Still, hit the join button below.
Today's episode is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. More about them in just a bit. Prepare to be shocked by the incredible rise and fall of a once beloved Subway mascot. Jared Fogle, the man who captured America's heart with his inspiring weight loss story, was hiding a dark and disturbing secret. In a decade-long crime spree, he committed unspeakable acts of sexual abuse and blackmail against both children and adults. With his money and influence, Fogle manipulated and persuaded his victims to perform unthinkable acts for his own twisted pleasure. When news of his arrest broke, the public was stunned by the extent of his crimes. How could someone who had been traveling the country on a mission to help children overcome obesity be capable of such heinous acts? This is the shocking story of Jared Fogle, the Subway spokesman, who turned out to be a monster.
Thank you, the Young Turks, for the excellent content for my stream. I've liked the sub to your
Khalif, they say, has identified as a woman his whole life.
And thank you,
I'm actually a little bit afraid to make this video, and you'll find out.
For the excellent content from my stream.
Today's episode is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. More about them in just a bit. Prepare to be shocked by the incredible rise and fall of the once beloved Subway mascot. Jared Fogle, the man who captured America's heart with his inspiring weight loss story, was hiding a dark and disturbing secret. In a decade-long crime spree, he committed unspeakable acts of sexual abuse and blackmail against both children and adults. With his money and influence, Fogle manipulated and persuaded his victims to perform unthinkable acts for his own twisted pleasure. When news of his arrest broke, the public was stunned by the extent of his crimes. How could someone who had been traveling the country on a mission to help children overcome obesity be capable of such heinous acts? This is the shocking story of Jared Fogle, the Subway spokesman, who turned out to be a monster.
I like the music. It's good. Like, genuinely good.
Hello everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of The Casual Criminalist. This one, obviously, as you know from the little introduction there, Jared Fogle, the Subway dude, who turned out to be a bit of a pedo. I don't like the episodes. Like, I guess the ones I struggle with most are obviously the ones where children get killed, because I have 2 young children. But also, this stuff is a dark place to go. Thank you to Matthew, who wrote today's script. I'm sure suffered a bit for it. And Jen?
I was just with other Jen. You.
Who will edit it. Thank you, guys. If you're brand new to the show, what happens in the series, I've never read this before. We're going to explore it together. I'm very familiar with Jared Fogle, Subway Jared, the guy who got fat and then got thin from eating Subway, apparently, and then turned out to be the predator. So let's jump in, shall we?
Yes, sir.
Most Americans are familiar with the name Jared Fogle, either from his extremely successful career in the early 2000s as a television spokesperson for the restaurant Subway, or from the non-stop news stories that covered his crimes once they were revealed in the summer of 2015. Wait, is anyone... Sorry to interrupt so early in today's episode, but is anyone, if you're like Jared Fogle, word association, the first word out of your mouth is not, oh, he's the guy from Subway! It's like, it might be that, but very quickly followed up, who's now in prison.
Who's now in prison.
I think most people are very, very well aware of what Jared Fogle did.
Gordo the Weirdo.
Because this story happened so recently, and I was able to remember much of the coverage that it received, I assumed that I would have no trouble recalling the details of his case and could write this script in a weekend. I was mistaken. As it turns out, many people, myself included, prior to diving into this project, are not aware of just how long and twisted his crime spree actually was. Not to sound too nonchalant about it, but I once believed that Jared Fogle was just another run-of-the-mill pedophile who got caught with illegal pornography and went to prison. However, I quickly learned that Jared's crimes were far worse than that. Oh god, I just realised all of these words that I've said so far. Pedo, pedophile, all this stuff. This video is not going to get very many views.
Too late, my friend.
It's going to get age restricted, but it's a video about Jared Fogle. I literally don't know what to do anymore, YouTube. Is it not important that we talk about this kind of crime and stuff? Is that, maybe it's not, but I also feel like this is a part of culture and history and all of this stuff. It's not like I'm glorifying it. Jesus Christ. Anything but. Sorry, not what I mean, like furthest thing from, right? I don't know what to do, but then I make these ones. I'm gonna get like way less views. And I'm sorry, I'll stop. I realise it sounds all very like, oh, poor Simon, poor Simon, poor Simon, and with all of his success. For at least a decade, Jared Fogle used his money and influence to persuade, abuse, and blackmail both children and adults into performing sex acts for pleasure, and he did so while prancing around the country on a campaign aimed at helping children overcome obesity. This is his rise and fall. A heavy start.
This cave is so big.
Jared was born to parents Norman and Adrienne Fogle on August 23rd, 1977. He was a husky child who from an early age was content with a sedentary lifestyle. This alone was never good for one's health, but Jared also had an unhealthy obsession with food. As a teenager, he would consume roughly 10,000 calories per day, and by the time he reached adulthood, he weighed a whopping 425 pounds, which is approximately 192 kilos. That is a very, very large man. Also, 10,000... I recently found out that the average American eats something like 3,900 calories a day, which kind of blew my mind, because I know you're supposed to eat, like, as a man,
I have been thinking about that a lot. I think I lived off of, like, 3,500 calories a day for all of my life. And I think I'm down at, like, I don't know, 1,800 something. I eat like one meal a day and maybe another meal if I'm lucky. And I think they probably comprise about 800 calories something, because everything I eat is pretty light. I do some mayonnaise and some chips and stuff. I'm sure the calories are kind of heavy. But, like, I definitely do not do, like fast food often or any of that stuff. And I think... like, I'm down to something like some days it's like 900. I eat like a sandwich and some chips and like a slushie or something. And that shit's like 900 calories or something. And I think about 3,500 in a day. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be so nice. That would be like a nice $15 meal in the morning of like bacon and scrambled eggs with orange juice and toast, right? For lunch, let's get a fucking burger with some french fries. And then for dinner, like steak, potatoes, and say like rice, or steak, potatoes, and probably carrots, right? Carrots. Steamed carrots. And that's going to be 3,500. Now, I want 3,500. I think that sounds amazing. I'd love to get 3 meals like that. But A, I don't want to spend that much time eating. B, I don't want to spend that much time cooking. 3, I don't want to think about that much. It's like 3 meals. Why do that when I can get away with thinking about 1, you know? And so in these days, so I know I don't do 3,500 anymore. And I'm doing so much better. Like, I can feel that I've got muscle in my stomach and stuff. And I can feel like that I'm getting like stronger and a tan. I've been exercising more. My body is down. I'm like at like 292 from 378 or whatever it is. I think I'm down like lower now. I'm thinking I'm like 290, 288, something like that. And now I'm at this place where I've lost the fat. I lost like 100 pounds or something like that. And now it's like muscle. And I think I'm going to have to build the muscle to a point where there's just no fat left. That's how my body works. And it's weird. And so I'm on this weight loss journey, but I think I could get down to like, I think the least this body could be is like, I know that my comfort level is 240, but like that's still kind of fat. But I mean, it's not that bad for a 6'4" dude, but it's still kind of fat. I'd like to get down to like 180 or something, but I'm still like 290 You know, I've got a long way to go. I got another 100 pounds to lose before I'm at the ideal, and I don't think I'm gonna do that. And it like probably take me 5 years. I'm doing it so slow. Some days I don't even go out. I don't go out and exercise at all. Some days I just don't even go out and exercise at all. I'm not doing it in any way that's like, you know, pressured or like planned, or like if I don't feel like doing it, I don't do it. I just don't do it. So and like for instance, my vacation, I sat in bed and I just ate and drank wine. That's all I did. I lied in bed for 5 days. My computer was being fixed, and I lied in bed. I bought a box of wine. It's right there. It's a box of Charles Shaw from Trader Joe's. It was like $48 or something like that. And then I bought $20 worth of Taco Bell. I bought like, I think it was like 12, or it's like, yeah, it was like 12 cheesy bean and rice burritos, which was like, you know, $20 or something after tax, I think. And I froze like 8 of them, and I ate 4 of them a day, and then I would just like, you know, in like when I woke up, I would eat like 2 burritos, and when I went to bed, I ate 2 burritos, and then I drank 2 bottles of wine a day for 5 days. It was like 2 bottles of wine. It was like because one wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get me really shit-faced plastered. So I drank like 2 bottles of wine all night. It took me like 8 hours to drink 2 bottles of wine, but I did it each day for like 5 days or something. And when you really look at that, that's not that much calories. It's burritos, which aren't good, but it's only 2 burritos. It's like 4 burritos a day for 3 days, and then the other 2 days, I think I had like good food that my family prepared that was like keto and you know, and all that, and that was it, and that was my vacation. And I think all in all, I bet I had like, you know, maybe 6,000 calories or something over the 5 days. And I didn't gain weight. I didn't lose weight. I did not exercise the whole 5 days, but I didn't gain weight or lose weight, because when you're actually exercising enough where your body is like kind of getting healthier and stuff, and you're on a forward trajectory, and you're like getting better and better at it. Like today, I ran the whole country block, whatever that is. It's so long. It's in the city. It would be like fucking 6 blocks, I think. Yeah, like in the city, 6 blocks, or it's not 6 blocks, it would be 3 blocks. It's like walking the country block out here is like 3 blocks. It's like walking 3 blocks, and I do like, I don't know, 20 rotations or something. So it's like I usually walk like something like 60 blocks like every 1 or 2 days. And then that's how I think of it, because I used to walk in the city a lot. So how I track it is I think of it as like city blocks, because that's what I know. And I'm walking something like 60 city blocks a day, you know, every other day or so, 2-3 days. And my body's getting stronger. I'm feeling better. You know, I was too fat. I'm not anymore, and it's doing better. But you know, something I noticed was it's like the minute that when I used to try to do this, I've done this successfully once before, but I struggled a lot and failed at it a bunch of times, because I was very rigid with myself, and I would make myself go to the gym, and I would eat 1 meal a day, and I would do a lot of sit-ups, and I would not like eat or smoke or drink as much, and I would like torture myself, and I'd be like, no, I can't have anything good, or I can't do anything. And it's weird. I'm experiencing much more success with just trying to get it done than I was, like, you know, like I know that the exercise needs to get done, so like trying to get out there every 1 to 3 days is so much of a challenge to me when I am clocking 105 hours as a streamer. You know, I really am. I'm clocking like 105 hours each week. I know, because I count. And I'm like, I try to keep it at around 105, and if I don't reach 105, I'll do like an 18-hour day on another day. And I'm in like 105-hour day weeks, and giving any more time is really fucking difficult, but I do it anyways. I do it like I do put like another 8 or 12 hours a week into like exercise, and it's hard. It's fucking so hard. And when I went at it, looking at it from like a direction of let's get it done, as opposed to, even if it takes 5 or 10 years, as opposed to let's brutalize myself now and just go on that fucking long distance run that never ends until you're just healthy and skinny and, you know, sexually active and, you know, and you know, all that stuff. And I've done it. This is the 3rd time I've ever done this, like completely lost all the weight. and this is and the second time only got down to 240. And the first time I was just younger, like I got kind of fat when I was like 19, so I kind of lost the weight again when back down again, like kind of became like a methamphetamine addict a bit, and I kind of like lost the weight back down. I was a young skinny methamphetamine addict for a little bit there, and I definitely had some play with the girls, slept with some girls and stuff, and I wasn't a young skinny methamphetamine addict. I just wasn't fat. I just wasn't fat. I've never been skinny. I've never ever been skinny. Not once in my whole fucking life. Not when I was born. No, I've always been fucking huge. But there's like flat belly me, and then there's like fat me, and I've been fat me something like 28 years of my life or something like that. So I'm not that used to being flat belly, and I'm trying to get back to flat belly, which to me is like, it's not like you're fat, but you couldn't say that I have a beer. I'm trying to get rid of the beer belly entirely. And one of the ways you do that is not drinking beer, which has been fucking hard for me. It's been so hard for me not to drink beer. I am from Colorado, where native fucking beer flows like water. And when you go, if you're an adult and you go in someone's house, they're like, hey, you wanna a fucking like a New Belgium or a Blue Moon or something. That's common in Colorado. Like, beer is fucking common in Colorado because supporting the microbreweries is like, in the marijuana, like honestly, marijuana and beer are very common in Denver, Colorado. It's like very, very common. There's no, like, and one of the reasons is we like supporting those cultures because they are us. Those dispensaries and all those pop farms and all of those microbreweries, that's us, that's Denver. So I've never felt shame about drinking beer and smoking weed. See, my family was from Nebraska and Arizona, but I'm from Denver, Colorado, where, like, literally I'm very proud that when my money goes to native Colorado beer. I'm proud of it. I still do it. I still buy native Colorado beer all the fucking time. I go Voodoo Ranger, right on my fucking stream, and I let the whole fucking world know, including my best friends, that I'm still buying Colorado native beer, because it's like my mother frowned on my goddamn beer use, but I don't care, especially when I'm trying to get healthy again. But I told her, I was like, nope, this is a piece of home. You're not from there. You'll never understand it. You're not Colorado native. You did live there for a bunch of years of your life, so I would hope that you would understand it better. But no, marijuana and beer are like a way of fucking life where I come from. Everybody I know smokes weed. Everybody I know drinks craft beer. Everybody goes to taco nights all the time. Taco night is really fucking big in Denver, Colorado. I don't know why, but it is. It's fucking huge. Taco nights, you can get chocolate beer right at the Park Street Tavern. Get for $1, you get I think it's like 8 little mini tacos and a chocolate beer for $7, something like that. For $8, you get like 6 tiny fish tacos, and a $7 chocolate beer. That's a nice big old pint with that nice dark